and see what they're all about. Go with the people who I would choose. Go to cajonesinc.com and find out today about getting your next house built to make it your home.
Updating your home with James Hardie siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res. Let's talk about spring allergies. Did you know that as many as 1 in 5 Americans suffer from allergies caused by particles frequently found in the air inside most homes? Not only is indoor air quality an issue year-round, but especially now that allergens like pollen are coming out of hibernation, ready to invade your home, it's even more important. It's also National Pet Month. Love your pet, but don't love the dander. So let's do something about it. Zero Res has a 12-step professional source removal process that guarantees your home will be clean to the highest standards. Not only will the air duct cleaning help this allergy season, but you're going to enjoy less dust, lower energy bills, and your home's going to stay cleaner longer. You owe it to yourself and your home to get rid of the dust bunnies and breathe happy, healthy, and clean air. Zero Res has a great offer for the month of April. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Also, 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. Call now, mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. 314-474-2020. Online, ZeroResSTL.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at SteelUSA.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Yes, this is the Annie Frey Show. I have a question for you to start the show with, though. Now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? That is today's YouTube live chat poll. I am Ryan Wiggins, filling in for Annie Frey today. It is basically the Annie Frey Show. We're going to call it the Sans Annie Frey Show because all the rest of us are here. She's not here, but Brad is here in studio. Hannah is all day today. Mm-hmm. The three of us kind of carry us through not only the events of yesterday as far as Trump goes, but local elections. Hyper-local, yes. But we're not going to necessarily look at the minutia of each detail of election because it can get very, very tedious to do that. But we'll look overall at what happened trend-wise, both in Illinois and Missouri. We also are going to look at some of these marquee races, which I want to do right off the top. Now, definitely go fill out that poll because we're going to be talking about, now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? I think that is an important topic to focus on today because it'll give us a barometer on how people are feeling who maybe, you weren't a Trump supporter going into this, or you liked his policies but didn't like the man. This maybe gives you sympathy for him, or does it not? We don't know. I'd like to know. So you do that by getting on our live stream. But these bigger races that aren't local, they're local to somewhere else, not local to here, are the Chicago mayoral race, which we will talk about in the 1 o'clock hour with Mark Glennon. He's the founder of Wire Points. He's going to break that all down for us of not only what happened, but what it looks like going forward here, because that's a crazy situation.
Yeah.
But the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, Brad, you pulled up a tweet before the show that I had seen too, that somebody said, hey, here's the shiny object is Trump. In the meantime, there's actual elections happening. Now, we didn't miss that because that wasn't here. None of us were voting on that.
Right.
Chicago, we actually had been talking about quite a bit, even though that's not something that is within our listening area either.
Well, the Wisconsin race is something that I've been following. Scott Pressler, if you follow Scott Pressler, he's grassroots vote, get out the vote for the Republicans kind of guy. He has been harping on getting out and voting in this Wisconsin Supreme Court election, because if Dan Kelly would win, then it would flip it, or it would keep it a conservative majority, but I cannot pronounce her last name.
I think it's Protasewicz.
So if
Janet Protasewicz,
if she wins,
or thereabouts,
it flips the majority of the court.
Yeah, 4-3.
4-3. So he's been harping on this, and things were not going well for the Dan Kelly camp last night. And this tweet rolled out, and it basically said, Republicans are going to be all screaming about Donald Trump. In the meantime, Democrats are about to flip the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and they're about to elect a very liberal mayor of Chicago. And Republicans are all looking at Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know about Chicago, and it was very close. And we had been talking about that. But you're right. The Supreme Court of Wisconsin, as far as national implications, that's the only election yesterday that really had national implications because of what it could mean for the 2024 election as far as election laws in Wisconsin, which is, of course, a swing state. But how did you feel, Brad and Hannah, waking up this morning when you saw the results? Were you encouraged? Were you discouraged? Were you in the middle about yesterday's elections?
I was feeling a little defeated. I live in St. Louis County, and the votes didn't necessarily go the way that I hoped they would, especially with the Rockwood School Board. I was extremely disappointed. That was, it was about a 17% difference in votes. I was looking more closely at that, and the difference was kind of more Jefferson County, St. Louis County voting for the Rockwood School District. It makes me sad, but, we can only hope for the future.
Yeah. For me,
You're St. Clair County, Illinois.
Yeah, I'm St. Clair County, and really, this is news. This is breaking news on the show, but I thought for the longest time that my district, I only had one alderman running. Turns out that changed. They redistricted me. I had a choice. The candidate I voted for did win. All the candidates that I voted for won, so that's encouraging. But all the other races, there were just those candidates for the spots to be filled.
Yeah, so there was no race.
So that's encouraging to me, but this Wisconsin thing was not.
I thought the same thing. The Chicago thing to me was weird because I've seen people say, look, let them have, this is before yesterday, let them have Brandon Johnson. Let it just go down so far that people finally come back. I don't know that I agree with that.
I don't think people come back.
I don't think they do either. I think they just keep voting it further and further down that same hole.
Well, I mean, we saw that nationally in 2022. People looked at this and they said, give us some more of this hot garbage. We love the hot garbage because at least it's not the other side.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what's so concerning is that you look at stuff right now, and I think the mayoral race is a really good example of that people just painted Vallis as conservative.
They painted him as a MAGA candidate.
Which is crazy. It's just crazy.
Like, absolutely. Like, whenever a candidate like Vallis is quote-unquote MAGA, Vallis was a Democrat.
Yes.
And he was a moderate Democrat. And even he's too left-leaning for me, but he was running on Law and Order, and apparently that makes him MAGA or something. I don't know what is going on up there. But they paint the other side as MAGA, and then they run to victory, and people are like, oh, MAGA bad. Let's vote for Marxism.
Yes, it's as if they don't know what they're voting for.
They don't. They have no clue.
It's almost like knee-jerk voting, and it's really sad to see. I mean, Chicago is a deeply blue area. I don't want to get too much into it because we're going to talk to Mark Glennon about it in the 1 o'clock hour, and he'll know a lot more about what happened and what happens next. But the Wisconsin Supreme Court is a little bit of that. I did see that Ronna McDaniel was on Fox today talking about that race, and it was basically her going, it was not, they were outspent in that race 5-1.
And who's in charge of spending for races?
Her. She's in charge. She's in charge of the RNC. And she doesn't control every super PAC, but the majority of that money is coming through the RNC. The DNC and DNC aligned groups outspent the Republican in that race 5-1. So what do you think is going to happen in a swing state? Now, that's the weird thing, is that when I woke up, just like you, I'm looking at the results of things. Now, I was watching late last night, so when I say I woke up, I'd already known what was going on. But this morning, I'm thinking, man, this was just not a great. It's a mixed bag locally, Hannah. I mean, you talked about some of the local elections in Collinsville, where I am in Madison County. Collinsville did really well as far as school board was a little bit mixed, but library board was great for us. But Madison overall wasn't great. So it's a mixed bag all over the place. There's not really a pin you can put in and say, here's what this election was like, because it really depends, A, on where you were, and B, on what you're expecting.
Right.
With this Wisconsin Supreme Court, though, I went back and I started thinking about it again. Okay, and by the way, Hannah just pointed this out. We are going to talk about this tornado that's just west of Cape Girardeau. Went through this morning with Kevin Killeen at 12:45. He's driving there now.
Yeah, he should be on scene.
So we're waiting for him to be there to actually give a report. So we will be talking about that. But with this Wisconsin Supreme Court election, this is a swing state. I didn't expect that this would be. I didn't actually expect what's his name?
Dan Kelly
to win this election, just because abortion is the way they painted this. They first of all, they outspent and they painted this as an abortion race. Abortion seems to be an issue that Democrats are really grabbing going into elections when they can. So I want to ask you guys this question. Do you think abortion is a losing issue for Republicans right now?
Brad, you share your thoughts first. Let me think.
So just purely from an election standpoint?
Purely elections.
Yeah, it's absolutely a losing issue. But it's an issue that Republicans should be willing to lose on, because I don't think that that's a decision. Like, we're arguing about whether or not a woman should have the right to kill a baby.
That is correct.
That I'm happy. Like, I hate the idea of losing on that. I hate the idea that women are going, you're taking away my right to kill my child and all this other stuff. I hate that's the case.
It definitely does affect voting.
But I'm willing to lose on that to be on the right side of that morally. You know, this isn't about, and please understand this, if you're a woman and you're listening to this right now, this isn't about taking away your rights. This is about protecting the rights of the unborn. They are people. They will grow into people. They will continue to be people. This is about protecting their lives and their rights, their most basic right to life. I understand that you're worried about other things, and there's stuff out there that's confusing and scary and all of that other stuff. But man, you've got to think about that child, and come get help, and we will help you if you decide to have this baby.
Hannah?
I definitely think it affects voting. I think we saw that in the primary. You know, we were expecting this big red wave, but Roe v. Wade definitely had an impact on that, and I believe it'll have an impact in the future. But Brad, you make a great point that it's almost worth losing on because of how strong, this topic is.
I want to make a point about abortion, and I want to make a larger point about Wisconsin, and then we'll get to a break here, and we're going to talk to Mike Davis, founder and president of Article 3 Project, about some of the Trump stuff from yesterday and what's happening today. But with abortion, I think less that it is the electorate saying, no, I want abortion rights, and more that it is the electorate in these states saying, I don't like fast change.
Really?
Yes. Now, obviously, there are people who just want abortion on demand. There always have been, there will be. But you saw this with Obamacare, for instance. Obamacare was a massive, sudden change to healthcare. And there was huge pushback against it, at least for 10 to 12 years. Do you think that was because those people had strong convictions about socialized medicine? The answer is no. Some people did, just like in this other case. Some people did have strong convictions. I'm one of them. Probably you guys are. But most people just don't like big, sudden change. So they don't like it when a thing like Roe versus Wade,
That
boom,
was probably the biggest change you could
huge,
have.
sudden change to the way America operates, to a big social issue. They don't like it. And so when they hear that things are changing too fast, I think this is just human nature, and it works for both sides. They just sort of recoil from it, and they hear, oh, we're going to put things back to normal. And you go, oh, I think that's a pretty winning issue. In swing states, not in all states, but in swing states. You disagree?
They say they're going to put things back to normal, but the end result is what you get in Illinois, which is abortion up to the point of birth, with minors not having to even notify their parents that they're getting an abortion.
Okay. I was making sure that you're disagreeing that they're putting things back to normal. I am too. They're going further with abortion than it used to be. We always talk about safe, legal, and rare is what they used to say. Nobody says that anymore. They actually want it on demand. They want it right up till birth. In the bluer
for
of the
whatever
state,
reason,
any state, and they don't want you to notify your parents if you're a minor. I mean, they want it extreme. That's now what rights are, and that was never the case. That's my point about abortion, and I think there are a lot of examples in history. I used Obamacare as one of those. That it's not principled people saying we should not be changing our healthcare system in such a way. It's just people going, "What about my healthcare?" People just freak out.
Well, they don't think about it until that moment.
Yes. And then people come along from the opposite side of that political spectrum and say, hey, you know what? That change was too fast. Vote us in, and we'll kind of ease that blow. And everybody goes, oh, okay, because they feel insecure and unsafe with big change. Now, that's the point about abortion. Before we get to a break, here's the point I want to make about Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a swing state. This is not a state that you can expect you're going to get great Republican conservative results from often. It's trending rightward, just like Pennsylvania, Michigan, even Minnesota. They're trending rightward. But along that path, and we're talking about sometimes 50 years that it takes for these trends to play out, you see a lot of the pendulum swing going back and forth. You just had Ron Johnson, a very conservative Republican, win a Senate seat in November. Remember November? It was not that long ago.
Yeah, well, they were writing his obituary, too.
And he won easily. There wasn't even a question. And that's a national race with national implications. This is a statewide race with statewide implications that could end up affecting the 2024 election. We don't know for sure, but it could. So this is a swing state. That's the point I want to make, is that it's not as if you go, oh my gosh, this is a huge trend. This is the pendulum swinging back and forth in a swing state. Because you look at elections that just happened in November, Republican easily wins. You look at this election for Supreme Court, a Democrat easily wins. So I think that's what you're seeing. You're not necessarily seeing any big trends. We can't draw any huge conclusions. And overall, just like we were saying before, there really aren't any big conclusions to draw from yesterday across the country. It's been a mixed bag, and it will continue to be a mixed bag. I think, as I said before, the days of wave elections are behind us. So a lot of the times you see, in the midterms, for instance, Republicans take back the House, but barely, but they didn't take the Senate. It's just going to be a mixed bag. It's unfortunate, I know. Emotionally, I want to see big waves, see big red waves, crimson tides. But it may not going to be happening. All right. Guys, stick around, because we are going to now talk about the Trump stuff from yesterday. We've had 24 hours to digest. We're going to talk to Mike Davis. He's the founder and president of Article 3, founder and president of the Internet Accountability Project, among many, many other things. He'll be next here on The Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Illinois Family Institute. You can go to illinoisfamily.org. And the reason why is because I'm always talking about, how do you get more involved? How do you become more informed? And how do you influence your representatives to do things that are more reflective of the way you want to see things done, or the way you want to see things not be done? That happens a lot in Illinois. The Illinois Family Institute is there to advocate and boldly bring biblical perspectives to public policy. Now, here's the thing. Everywhere you go, you've got people lobbying government officials for the way they see things. The Illinois Family Institute is out there maybe advocating for yours. But you need to find out exactly how they're doing this and what issues that the Illinois Family Institute raises up that you might be interested in helping them fight against that Illinois legislature. Go sign up for their newsletter today, and you will be glad to be informed by way of the Illinois Family Institute on things pro-life, pro-family, pro-religious liberty, and small government policies at the Capitol in Springfield and in churches throughout the state. You'll find all the details online at illinoisfamily.org.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
There are a lot of smart business people out there making smart decisions by getting Rhino Shield. The latest one, the Central Illinois Care Services, they have decided to go with Rhino Shield on the outside of their building so they won't have to worry about maintenance from now on. The list is long. Joe's Tire out in Sullivan, Stonehill Wineries in Herman. They've all got Rhino Shield on their buildings. You can have it on your business or your house. Just call 877-25-RHINO. Let Darren come out and give you a free estimate as to what it would cost to get this great product on your home. 25-year transferable warranty, 100% waterproof, 8 to 10 times thicker than paint, and as a satisfied customer, 15 years in, I can tell you it looks as good as the day they put it on. You're going to love Rhino Shield. Call them right now. Tell them you heard about it on the Mark Cox Morning Show. Again, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
We trust companies to do what's right, but when they don't, there's Onder Law, making a difference, one case at a time.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618-9 million.
Tony LaRussa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet, first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
If you haven't joined us for a Fish Fry Friday, we've got one more chance for you.
Come out to the VFW Hall in O'Fallon, Missouri for some walleye, catfish, or shrimp.
Fish Fry Fridays conclude this week in O'Fallon. On St. Louis's home for conservative talk, everyone is welcome.
Right outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
We pray for
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Hey, this is Ryan Wiggins, Brad and Hannah in studio with me all day today. We're the fill-in crew. We're the normal crew that's here, but we're the fill-in crew today because Annie has the day off. A little bit of a debate breaking out in the live stream about personhood. When does personhood?
Interesting chat today.
It's a good debate.
Mm-hmm.
That is the debate that should happen.
We have to have before we can come to any sort of conclusion about what to do about abortion.
I'm just glad that we could provide the parameters for a great discussion to be happening. While you're looking at the live stream, by the way, check out the YouTube live chat poll for the day. It's something we do every day here on the Annie Frey Show. Today's question is, now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? And leave us a comment. We'd like to know what you think about the events of yesterday. Speaking of which, talking about the events of yesterday, Mike Davis is the former chief counsel for nominations, U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary, if I can get that out, former law clerk for Justice Neil Gorsuch, and he's the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Mike, thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start by resetting the table. Why is what happened yesterday to Donald Trump so important?
Well, the Democrats have crossed the Rubicon here, and it's so important because it just proves what Trump and his supporters have been saying for many years, which is our justice system in America has been politicized and weaponized against Trump, Republicans, against Biden's political enemies. And it's crystal clear. We have this Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, teaming up with a very senior Justice Department official, this Matthew Colangelo, who used to be in the number 3's office in the Biden Justice Department, a very senior political appointee. They revived this zombie case. This is a case that had such a laughable legal theory that the prior Manhattan DA declined to prosecute this case at Alvin Bragg's urging. When Alvin Bragg worked in the New York Attorney General's office, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney declined to prosecute this case, and the Federal Election Commission declined to prosecute this case, and even Alvin Bragg himself, as the DA, declined to prosecute this case. And then back in December, Bragg was taking political heat from the left, and so back in December, Bragg hired Matthew Colangelo from the Biden Justice Department. He's a longtime political operative, political appointee, former NAACP attorney for 7 years, former Obama Justice Department political appointee under Merrick Garland, working for Tom Perez, followed Tom Perez when he became the Secretary of Labor as a top political appointee in the Obama Labor Department. Tom Perez went on to the DNC as the chair. Colangelo went to work in the Obama White House as a political appointee, economic advisor. Colangelo then went to New York to work for a Democrat attorney general. And Colangelo ran the essentially the Trump derangement unit of the New York Attorney General's office, sued the Trump Foundation, sued the Trump administration constantly, investigated Trump and his finances. It was constant Trump. And then when Biden won, Colangelo went to the Biden Justice Department on the parachute team. He was the acting number 3, the acting associate attorney general, and then he became the number 2 to the number 3, Vanita Gupta. And Colangelo was the guy who was responsible for sending the FBI and Justice Department after Christians praying outside of abortion centers while giving amnesty to abortion industry paid activists terrorizing Catholic churches, crisis pregnancy centers, and Supreme Court justices and their families in their homes. This is a political hit by President Biden to take out his chief political enemy, Donald Trump.
But Mike, I thought this was just a nonpartisan DA, just applying the law equally. Alvin Bragg, that's what they keep saying, isn't it? That this is nobody's above the law, and so if this is the law, this is the way it's applied, right?
Well, this is clearly a partisan witch hunt by Alvin Bragg. He took over $1 million from George Soros, and now he's George Soros's puppet. And to say that no one's above the law, I would say there are plenty of people in America who are above the law. The Bidens are above the law. There's smoking gun evidence that the Bidens illegally took Ukrainian and Chinese oligarchs' money, millions and millions of dollars of this, to influence Joe Biden while he was the vice president and after he was the vice president. We see these abortion activists who are above the law. We see BLM and Antifa who are above the law. With President Trump, he's actually below the law. Like he's not above the law, he's below the law because they're bringing bogus charges against him, and it's lawfare. It's not. This is coordinated across the country. It's not just Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg bringing these bogus charges against Trump for these non-felonies. You also see Garland Special Counsel Jack Smith looking at the non-crime of a former president having his presidential records in the office of former president, which is specifically allowed by Congress in the Presidential Records Act. You're looking at the Fulton County, Georgia Democrats DA Fannie Willis looking at President Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election and twisting arms and lobbying other people to object to a presidential election. That is specifically allowed by the Electoral Count of 1887. It's also allowed by the First Amendment. If it were illegal to object to presidential elections, Democrats would be in prison for objecting to Republican wins in 1969, 2001, 2005, 2017. This is This has been a 6-year witch hunt, 7-year witch hunt against Donald Trump because Democrats fear they can't beat him in the polls like what happened in 2016, so they simply indicted him.
Mike Davis on the phone with us, founder and president of the Article 3 Project. He's a former chief counsel for nominations, U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary. So you used the phrase when we first started talking that they've crossed the Rubicon. What does this mean, outside of this case, because we're going to watch this take place, and a lot of people saying this probably isn't even going to go to a jury. It's such a weak case. But what happens now politically? People are saying now that maybe you're going to start seeing DAs from across the country just pick their political enemies and start going after them legally. Is that where we're at?
Well, I hope so, because you know what? The only way we're going to stop this is to give these leftists a healthy dose of their own medicine. These are not liberals. This is not our parents' or our grandparents' Democrat Party. These are not liberals who love America and just disagree with conservatives on the best way to get there. These are leftists. These are Marxists. They hate America. They're trying to destroy America. They hate equality. They believe in equity. They hate free speech. They believe in censorship. They hate due process. They believe in Me Too and politicized and weaponized judicial systems at the federal and state level, right? We're seeing this constantly. So what we need to do as conservatives is punch back. We have to give them a healthy dose of their own medicine so they stop. I call this the dead chicken strategy. When I clerked for Justice Gorsuch, each of the justices, 4 law clerks, would have lunch with each of the justices over the course of the year. And our lunch with Justice Clarence Thomas, it was a great lunch, like 2.5, 3 hours. He talks about when he was growing up on the farm in Georgia, when dogs killed chickens, you would wrap those dead chickens around those dogs' necks, and as those dead chickens rotted around those dogs' necks, those dogs would lose the taste for chicken. And we need to do the same thing against the left with their lawfare. So if you want to come up with these bogus charges against a political rival like they're doing with President Trump, let's use our state attorneys general, Republican attorneys general, our Republican DAs, our Republican prosecutors, our Republican state and federal legislatures. Let's punch back. Let's indict the Democrats for their real crimes. Let's investigate Democrats for their real crimes. Give them a healthy dose of their own medicine. There is clear evidence that the Bidens have taken millions and millions of dollars from the CCP and Ukraine. Why are we not investigating this more? Why are we not pushing our state attorneys general where there were BLM and Antifa riots or abortion industry activists terrorizing Catholic churches and crisis pregnancy centers? Why are we not going after the Bidens, the Clintons, BLM, Soros, Antifa, all these left-wing actors? Why are we sitting back and not taking off the gloves and going after them?
Mike, I got enough time for probably one more question here, but I don't know if you were able to watch Trump's speech last night. It was not quite a rally, but it had kind of that environment to it. He mentioned a few of the cases that you're talking about, things that he said, this is what now Republican DAs need to go after and attorney generals need to go after. And one of them that he brought up I thought was very interesting. He said that the intelligence officials who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop on record, that those people should be gone after legally. Is there something there?
Yeah, I mean, clearly they signed a letter saying that this was a Russian disinformation. Hunter Biden's laptop, 51 of these goons signed a letter saying that Hunter Biden's laptop was a Russian disinformation campaign, which was a complete lie. It got the New York Post, America's oldest newspaper, censored, right? You couldn't even access the link to the story, and they got kicked off of social media. It's insane. It's election interference at its worst, and you have to look at these officials. They should not have security clearances. They're lying to the public. They should lose their security clearances. They should look at if there was a conspiracy to violate civil rights of people who tried to report this information. This is criminal what they did. And yes, there should be a reckoning. There's not going to be a reckoning because the uniparty in D.C. protects itself, but there absolutely should be a reckoning.
Mike Davis is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Mike, how do people find the Article 3 Project if they want to follow you?
Yeah, that's it's article3project.org, article3project.org. It's at Article 3 Project, at Article 3 Project on Getter, Twitter, Truth. And my personal is at MRDDMIA, MRDDMIA. Those are my initials in Des Moines, Iowa. I appreciate you having me on.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate your time. Yeah, Mike Davis, he knows a lot. I mean, he was a law clerk for Gorsuch. I mean, that kind of stuff. You hear those personal stories about him sitting down and having lunch with Justice Thomas and those things. You're like, how am I talking to this guy? That's cool stuff.
Yeah.
So this is, I was going to say, this is Wiggins America. This is not Wiggins America.
This is not. Don't you do it.
And nor is the next segment Wiggins America, because we're going to actually take a break. Brad usually when I fill in, you usually do Wiggins America for me. But today we're going to not do that. We're going to punt that to later in the show because Kevin Killeen is on the ground outside of Cape Girardeau where that tornado hit and really cut through a neighborhood. If you've seen the aerials,
I've seen some footage of it.
You can see right where it goes, and it's such a weird thing to see that, because you've seen these images 1,000 times over the course of your life, and then you see one, you're like, oh, that's actually just outside our listening area. We almost are talking to those people if we could be, and it's so close.
Well, that and some of our listeners may have family and friends in that area.
Exactly.
That's a close area.
So we're going to get caught up with what's going on in southeastern Missouri right after this. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Be from God's country.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group is a family business, and they want to help you and your family. When they meet their clients for the first time, they're going to set up a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. They build your own personalized structured income plan to generate a great amount of income for you for the rest of your life. They put you in control of your money. That means you don't have to have the worry, the anxiety that comes along with not really understanding how you're going to shift from saving to paying yourself with that retirement that you've been working so hard to accumulate. Let their team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. When you reach out to them by calling 314-993-9494, you're not going to cause yourself to have to pay anything. There's no obligation. You just sit down and have a conversation. They ask you about where you are, what you want to achieve, and then they tell you how they can help you. If you feel like it's a good plan for you, join the rest of the Annie Frey Show listeners and 97.1 listeners and become a client. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
Hey, it's Mark Cox. When I make a recommendation on the radio, you can be sure I've done my homework. When it comes to real estate, I only recommend one realtor. That's Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Fact is, I've been recommending Gloria for years now. I've met her clients. I've seen her systems. Gloria has a proven track record for selling hundreds of homes this year alone, and that'll give you the confidence that she'll help you sell yours for the most money. The fact is, Gloria already has the buyers looking to buy now. That's why she'll actually guarantee in writing to sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and the seller must agree on the price and the possession date.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Sherlock Holmes, we have a new mystery. My dear Watson, what conundrum requires our sleuthing? It's these high gas prices, Sherlock. How do I stop paying too much at the pump? Elementary, Watson. Simply use the cashback app, Upside. The Upside app has eluded my attention. Oh, come now, Watson. Upside is the revolutionary app that's free to download, and you get real cashback for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around around $200.
So you can really make cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway.
Precisely, my dear Watson. I have the app open now. Look, there's a gas station not far from here offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Sherlock, you've done it again. I will now use the Upside app and earn cash back on every gallon of gas I buy.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HOMES to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HOMES for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HOMES for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Fact-checking the mainstream media daily.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You found it here. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
This is actually the Sans Annie Frey Show. This is Ryan Wiggins, Hannah Gibbs here, Brad Range here. We'll be with you all day walking through all of what happened yesterday with both Trump and with local elections and covering everything, and also what happened this morning. That was just before dawn in southeast Missouri. Kevin Killeen is on the phone with us. He is there where there was a pretty nasty tornado. Kevin, are you actually in Glen Allen right now?
I am just pulling into Glen Ellen and into the Woodland High School where they have a command post to find out the latest. We're hearing that there are 4 people dead and many more injured. The Glen Ellen area is kind of on the fringe of Marble Hill. And when I got to the checkpoint just a minute ago, the officer, I said, "How bad is it?" He said, "Oh, it is really tore up in there." And I saw some of that on the way in from my approach on Highway 51, which is kind of a 2-lane road that ribbons through hilly country with farms and cows by the fences, and a little bit of, junk cars here and there. But we got to the point on the edge of town where you could see where the tornado had cut across the ridge of this hill, and there was a collection of oak trees that you would be proud to have them in your yard. I mean, they were like 70-year-old oak trees, but about 5 or 6 of them were just knocked over like they were nothing in the path of this wind that came through, this tornado. And that was just in an area without many homes. There was a home hit in that area. I pulled over, and there was a big tree had smashed into the roof of a white single-story frame house, and they were chainsawing up the limbs to try to get them off. And it was drizzling and thundering. It didn't, usually after a tornado, mercifully the sun comes out and you can see what you got, but it has just been heavy rain all morning in this area. And on the way down at a truck stop, somebody said, "Yeah, in the rain I could see all the fire engines and the ambulances going into the Marble Hill area." So we're at the mobile command now, and I'm going to find out some more details about where things stand now. Key questions are, how many people are still missing? Or do they have a list of, the people that live in the area affected, and how many are injured? Just things like that.
So this is about 50 miles south of where we're sitting in downtown St. Louis. So it's close, but it's just outside of probably where our signal would get. So I don't think the people there could hear what we're saying right now. But Kevin, how widespread was this tornado? We see a lot of times they kind of drop in and they pop back up really quick. Did this one last a while?
Well, I haven't seen the damaged area yet, though. But in your mind, you imagine that the town is wiped off the map, but that's not true, because as I pulled into Marble Hill, there's a long line of cars at the McDonald's. There's a Sinclair gas station that still has the green dinosaur on it, and people are pumping gas. And then there's an old Main Street area that looks like the Waltons with the country store building and all the old mercantile buildings. They're still the brick buildings in fine condition. So it seems to have really concentrated on this Glen Ellen area that I'm about to go into and find out some more.
So have you talked to anybody locally there yet? I mean, are they saying, that this is going to be, are they telling people where to go? I mean, do they have a command? The command center you're at, I guess, is where they're saying to go if you need something.
Yeah. You're getting this story very
at the moment, right? Yeah.
Fresh to market because I just pulled off the road. I only spoke to one group of people at that earlier house I mentioned to you on the edge of town where the trees were down. But here at the command center, they'll probably have a lot of information, and we can get back to you later in the show today, and maybe in the 2:00 hour do an update.
Yeah, Kevin, let's do that. Let's let you talk to some people, and then we'll talk to you again later in the show.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being there. That's Kevin Killeen from KMOX. He is on the ground 50 minutes south, so not a long way from here where that tornado has hit and apparently killed at least 4 people. And we'll find out just how bad it is as we go along here.
That's sad. Yeah. I don't know what your experience is with bad weather and stuff like that, but when I was 5 years old, my grandparents' farm got hit with a really bad tornado. And when you're 5 years old, to see that destruction, fortunately, everyone was okay. My grandparents made it in their basement. Their house was actually untouched, which I don't know how their house was untouched, and all the buildings surrounding it were just absolutely destroyed. But it just leaves a lasting impact on you. And, my thoughts and my prayers go out to the people down there.
I've seen a few images of the tornado damage on Twitter, and it is, it takes your breath away when you see it. It's crazy.
It's always strange to me because anytime there's a tornado, the image pops up on either local or national news, depending on how bad it was. Like the ones from Mississippi, that made national news. I think actually this one is
This one is making national news.
I looked up on Fox and it was
there. Oh, that's right. You pointed up in the first segment. You said, it's right there. I didn't realize that was Fox National, not Fox Local, covering this story. But you see the images, and they always look pretty similar, where there's either a very large area that's been destroyed or a very small area, but it's destroyed. It's a lot of times it is just wiped out, depending on whether there are mobile homes or not, because mobile homes tend to be torn apart a little easier, or they fly up a little easier. But when it's close like this, that's when you go, I've, in some cases, some people say, I've been there. I've never been to this town in particular.
I know the Sinclair station he's talking about.
Do you really?
Yes.
Wow.
We go through that area on the way down to visit my family in northeastern Arkansas. And I know the Sinclair station, the McDonald's, I know that area he's talking about.
I've never really been there because this is just west of Cape Girardeau. I did take a trip to Cape Girardeau a couple years ago for my wife's birthday. It's beautiful driving down the Mississippi there because St. Genevieve is very pretty if you go to the right spots. Cape Girardeau is too. And north too. I mean, if you go, there's some great places north and on the Missouri River, New Haven and places like that are very, very pretty river towns. And we had never been to Cape Girardeau. So we decided, let's go there for your birthday. And there's apparently I wish I could remember the name of the restaurant, because if I knew it, a lot of people go, I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember it. It's a somewhat famous restaurant in Cape Girardeau where Cape Girardeau is so pretty that they've filmed movies there, like major films.
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl's the most recent one that they filmed most of that in Cape Girardeau. And the cast and people would eat at this restaurant almost every night. They said Ben Affleck was in there basically every night. Completely unrelated story that just made me think of this. I pulled up, and I don't even know if I've got it here. If I don't, I'm going to tell it from memory. I don't. Okay. Taylor Swift is on this tour right now. Speaking of
the Eras tour.
The Eras change. This is a big shift, I know. But it just made me think of it.
I'm waiting for someone in the live chat to say the name,
of
that
the restaurant.
Yeah, it's not Lambert's, is it?
It's not Lambert's. No, I would remember that. Have you ever been to Lambert's, by the way?
No.
You've never been to Lambert's?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Good.
It is. It's really good. It deserves its reputation.
Okay, we have 3 minutes to talk about the Eras tour. I'm so fascinated about what you're supposed to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I teased this and I'm taking too long to get to it for your sake, Hannah. But have you seen this story about how Taylor Swift moves around because she's so famous.
Mhm.
It would be hard for her to go places and not just get completely mobbed. Even when she's at the concert venues, she can't move around freely in the stadium because she, like staff and stuff, they just mob her. So they showed, and there's been these rumors for a long time, confirm or deny here, Hannah, that when she goes out in public, that she will actually have her handlers take her places in a suitcase, like in a giant suitcase. No?
This sounds ridiculous.
I get it. But and these like, rumors, this internet stuff. They actually got video of her in a janitor's cart. This is
awesome.
This is how they move her around in the stadium.
Taylor Swift suitcase theory.
Look that up, and now look up Taylor Swift janitor's cart. They have footage, and it's a big cart. It's not like
Oh my gosh! I'm looking at the suitcase theory, and it's like these big gator cases that they carry around musical equipment in, and they says
that's kind of smart. Also, the janitor
Right?
thing, that's like in every single cartoon movie about how to sneak in somewhere.
Yeah, you take
is
somebody in a janitor's
through-
closet, you beat them up, and you take their clothes. That's how you do it.
There's some Disney movie. Sing 2. That's what they did, was they dressed up as janitors to get into.
So this is real because somebody was in the stadium, way up in the
ridiculous.
top deck, taping from above. These two big, strong guys push this janitor's cart, and it's fake. It's a fake janitor's cart. It's got these fake mops sticking up out of the top of it that aren't real, and they push it up into this ramp where she's going to go into her little trailer backstage there, and they push it up, and you see her in her little sequin gown jump out of the janitor's cart. And she walks into her little room.
There's the video.
Right?
That's crazy.
It's on TikTok.
Lauren Raspberry on Facebook says that Kenny Chesney was moved in carts too. I believe it, and I would try to find that cart.
Kenny Chesney had to be moved around in cars. All right, fine. I saw a video this morning randomly. This stuff just pops up of Hugh Jackman standing in an airport, and he's wearing what looks like a bonnet. Not a bonnet, but like one of those goofy-looking girls' hats and sunglasses, and he's like, nobody even knows I'm here. If you're that famous... That's so weird. But you'd see, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen anybody in an airport or somewhere. You can tell when
Billy Bob
somebody's
Thornton.
an athlete or an actor.
Oh, yeah.
They just look different. Like Hugh Jackman's probably jacked.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word. All right, this is the Annie Frey Show. We're doing her proud here, I'm sure. This is the Ryan Wiggins, Hannah Gibbs, Brad Range in for Annie Frey today. It's the Sans Annie Frey Show, and a lot more to come. Deroy Murdock up right around the corner.
Staying active is important, but also staying healthy so you can continue to stay active is important as well. That's why I wear Prevent Sprain socks when I work out, when I box, when I'm playing sports with my kids. I put on the Prevent Sprain socks, and it helps give me the support that I need on my ankle. I want you to check these out as well. If you're an active person, if you're getting into exercise, as summer is upon us, a lot of people are choosing to get more exercise in or more activity in when the sun is out and it's a little bit warmer. Check out Prevent Sprain socks and how they can help you. They have helped Olympic athletes, NFL players, professional soccer players, European football players, UPS drivers, nurses, construction workers, and even grade school athletes that maybe live in my home. PreventSprainSocks.com is the website where you can go see different colors, different sizes, and use these socks to make sure that you have the support you need to continue to be active. If you have thought about trying to get better support for your ankles, or if you think that this would benefit you, go online and get your first pair of Prevent Sprain socks today. PreventSprainsocks.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Do you hate standing on concrete floors because of foot, knee, or low back pain?
I couldn't stand on hard surfaces. The pain would get so severe that I couldn't stand it.
Tired of living in pain?
I wanted to take off my shoes as soon as I got home every day.
You need comfort in your life.
Now I have no foot pain and I can wear any dress shoe that I want.
Good Feet fits in all your shoes. Ladies, you can now be comfortable in your favorite high heels. Good Feet. No shots, no surgery, no medication.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive west of I-270 in the Plaza with Subway or in Shiloh, Illinois across from Dearborn's.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
Who will dare to find a new way to think about energy? One that connects our lives like never before and creates a world where we can breathe easy. NewScale dared by making 24/7 carbon-free energy a reality with our Voyager SMR power plants. Let's see how bright the future can be when cleaner, safer energy is available to all. NewScale. Power to the world. Power for all humankind. Discover the future of energy at newscalepower.com.
Learn to make money 5 ways with rental real estate. Double your money with apartments. And get your map to financial freedom. And that map starts with a free workshop. Sign up now at lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the Join Free Workshop tab and attend online or in person. That's lifestylesunlimited.com. lifestylesunlimited.com. Again, that's lifestylesunlimited.com. Limited seating, unlimited potential.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A handshake in California watched closely in China. Lisa Brady, Fox News. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy meeting with Taiwan's president at the Reagan Library. China, which claims Taiwan as its own, considers that meeting a provocation, warning of consequences. But National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the meeting is part of transit in the U.S. during a larger trip by the president to Central America.
This is not uncommon. It's not official. And there's no reason for them to react in any sort of an aggressive manner because of it.
Also noting that President Tsai Ing-wen is not meeting with any administration officials. McCarthy, though, is the most senior U.S. official to meet with a Taiwanese leader on U.S. soil since 1979. What the former president calls a political persecution is firing up the GOP base.
Our base is very energized and angry by seeing this political persecution, not just of him, but of Republicans across the spectrum. We saw this last year with parents going to school board meetings being labeled domestic terrorists. Right now, the greatest crime in America is to be a Republican.
Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel also telling Fox News abortion will still be an issue in the 2024 election and that Republicans shouldn't let Democrat claims go unanswered. This after a Democrat win in Wisconsin yesterday that gives that state Supreme Court a liberal majority. Devastation before dawn in Glen Allen, Missouri, a rural area south of St. Louis, where a tornado early today killed at least 4 people, causing widespread damage. Severe weather threats continuing today from Texas to the Great Lakes.
This latest round of weather is surely going to complicate the recovery efforts. We have a tornado watch in effect until later on this evening.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon in Little Rock, one of the areas still recovering from deadly storms late last week. America is listening to Fox News.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale starts now with limited quantity deals on select performance PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Save on select Vostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Save on select essential accessories plus free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do bank closures, inflation rate hikes, and the roller coaster of the market frighten you as much as it does me? You need to call Oxford Gold. Securing your IRA or 401k with real gold and silver is a portfolio protection plan, and Oxford Gold has made it as easy as 1, 2, 3. One app, one call, and you pick the precious metals. That's it. You now own real precious metals. Call Oxford Gold today and learn more about the 1, 2, 3 protection plan at 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
we go into a quiet stretch, but it's going to be very windy throughout the afternoon with lots of sunshine, 60 degrees by sunset. Tonight, partly cloudy, cold. It's windy not only this evening, but all night long, 35. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshine and cool, 58. Some spotty frost away from the city Thursday night. All is quiet Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here. You're here. Not because of a label, but because conservative ideas actually work. St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
You work hard to heat and cool your house and make sure that you're in your comfort zone all the time. You want to make sure you're staying up to date on your HVAC system. Air Comfort Service knows that you care about this stuff. But have you checked your insulation? If you feel like your HVAC system, heating or air conditioning, running and it isn't doing the job the way it should be, maybe you need to check out your insulation. If you go to aircomfortservice.com/insulation, you'll learn about how they can work with you to make sure that your insulation is up to speed. 9 out of 10 homes are under insulated. Make sure that you reach out to Air Comfort Service to check the situation that you might be facing. You can call them at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091 and have them give you a free estimate. Air Comfort Service is there to provide you all of the things that you need, including your cooling system check. If spring is upon us, you want to make sure your cooling system is in good working order. Reach out to Air Comfort Service and have them do the maintenance on your air conditioner. Reach out to them online at aircomfortservice.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300, and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonsacehardware.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm genuinely interested to know how you answer this question. It's now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? That is today's YouTube live chat poll. So get on our stream and answer that question. We'll be not only reading the results, but reading your comments at the end of the show. And that is the topic we're going to talk about with Deroy Murdock.
Deroy Murdock, nationally syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor. Deroy Murdock.
Deroy, thanks for being here, as you usually are here on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Ryan, filling in for Annie, by the way. Hello.
Hi, Ryan. How are you? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, good to talk to you again, too. So, the events of yesterday. I mean, there's a lot going on yesterday amidst local elections.
Events? What events? What
yeah, right. We were wall-to-wall coverage of it, and it was weird because just as far as coverage goes, there wasn't a lot to watch. You know, you watched about 3 seconds of him walking out of the building and then walking back into the building. But as far as what actually happened yesterday, it was a note now in American history, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like the O.J. chase or something,
right?
Car chase or something where there's we had riveting visuals. Yeah, visually not very exciting, but look, in terms of the substance of what took place, this was a horrible day in America. I think we now officially are a third world country. We're now living in a nation where the idea of equal justice under law used to be a core guiding principle of this republic. It's become basically a punchline. It's not, you sort of slap your knees and laugh when you say it. We have a two-track justice system where you see everything that happened to Donald J. Trump over an alleged payment of $130,000 in hush money to this Stephanie Clifford, I think is her real name, or as I call her, nom de porn, Stormy Daniels. And even if that did happen, you saw the results of this. Meanwhile, you've got Hillary Clinton doing almost exactly the same thing, funneling money through her lawyers to people who influenced the election through the Russia Steele dossier, the Russia collusion allegations, and that hoax, basically. And rather than be arraigned and brought to a courtroom and all that, her campaign and the DNC paid fines of about $130,000, something like this. And that's it. And they go on with their lives, and no big deal, no big whoop. Go on and write your books and do your lectures and go on TV and have fun. And we have a two-track justice system. Basically, it is arrests and indictments and trials and jail if you're a Republican or conservative, and if you're a liberal or Democrat, you basically get concierge services from the justice system, including if you're Hillary Clinton and people like Clapper, former head of the CIA, Brennan, former head of the CIA, Eddie McCabe, James Comey, these people wrapped up in the Russia collusion scandal at the FBI. These people, literally, I'm not exaggerating, they literally, each of these folks got a book deal and a TV contract.
Oh,
so
yeah. I
on the
think
right, you go to prison. If you're on the left, book deal, TV contract. It's a two-track justice system. We now live in a third world country.
I think I saw that Trump's doorman got a book deal not too long ago. The
Really?
guy,
Wow.
Yeah, he's maybe talked to Trump for a total of 20 minutes of his life here and there. But that's the way it is. So, Deroy, I mentioned this yesterday, and you kind of hit on this too, that this stuff, this deep state going after conservatives ideologically and very much practically going after them actually predates Trump. We look back at the IRS in the Obama years targeting conservatives, and now Trump has kind of stepped into that. He likes to say that they're coming after you, I'm just in the way. You agree with that?
I do agree with that. And, it's not just, the big guy with the house, beautiful home in Palm Beach, but as you say, it's conservatives at the local grassroots level, people whose names we don't know or are not famous. And they include people like the folks who tried to start 501c3 nonprofits during the Tea Party era. I forget the number, but I think it was several hundred applied for nonprofit status from the IRS, and there's a woman there named Lois Lerner who's a big liberal Democrat, and she dragged her feet. She had them fill out all these questionnaires. Some of the questions these people were asked to answer or told to answer by the IRS. What books do you read? What topics do you tend to focus on in this, this Tea Party group? One of the questions was, what is the content of your prayers? Wow. That's the kind of question you think you'd be asked, somewhere in the Gulag under Brezhnev or under Stalin even. And those people, many of them did not get their 501c3 status as a consequence. They could not raise money, and therefore they just disbanded. They were not able to do the kind of grassroots civic education they wanted to do in 2012 when Obama was running for re-election, which was the exact point. Don't let these people have the ability to reach voters, change their minds, and get them to vote against Obama. So that was mission accomplished on the left. What does she do? She took a leave of absence. She resigned. She never went to jail. No consequences for any of that. She's now living off her federal pension with fantastic health care benefits and everything. No consequences. And more recently, you've got the parents who showed up at school boards to complain about critical race theory and all the gender stuff, and their sons being told they really don't need their penises, and that their daughters really maybe should have penises attached, et cetera. All this stuff that I guess has replaced reading, writing, and arithmetic. They went to their school board and said, "Look, we are not crazy about this," and the U.S. Department of Justice declared them domestic terrorists. and sent the FBI to go probe these people. So this place is looking every day a little more like East Germany. It's very disturbing. It's very, very frightening. And this is the Democrat Party we have today. This is not the party of, hey, let's raise taxes a little bit and help out the poor. This is turning into a neo-totalitarian, increasingly police state-oriented Uber state, which is not about freedom and liberty and prosperity, but about government control and the ability of the left to tell us what to do from when we wake up in the morning until we crawl into bed at night.
Yeah, Deroy Murdock, nationally syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor, on the phone with us. So one of the things that has been covered extensively is where this goes now, because there could be tit for tat. This could be just a thing that we deal with now. Anytime you don't like somebody politically, you just go after them legally. But what is not talked about, it really concerns me, is not just these people at the top. I mean, this will affect presidential races from now on, but it's everybody down ticket. I mean, it's down to we're talking about local school boards and library boards yesterday, in local elections across the country. You could go after these people with, like you said, lawfare. You can bankrupt people who you disagree with by just outspending them and suing them.
Mm-hmm. No, this is true. And look, the left has opened this door. And I think the only way for us to get them to stop is not to be nice to them and say, oh, these people have good intentions. They really mean well. They just have bad ideas. No, these are evil monsters. We're dealing with essentially neo-Marxists, cultural Marxists, if not full-blown communists. We need to open our eyes and understand that. And I'm not saying we need to attack anybody physically, but let's stop being so nice to these people. And if they're going to slap lawsuits on us, then we need to sue them until they scream for mercy. And I'm not crazy about seeing political opponents brought into court, but the only way the left is going to stop is if their people start to feel this too. And as long as we stand by, and again, under Trump, he had the opportunity to go after Hillary Clinton, not for any small stuff, but for her obstruction of justice with her server, for destroying evidence on her illegal do-it-yourself server, for all of the illegal things she did related to the Russian collusion scandal, the whole business with the Russian uranium outrage, all this stuff. And the thought was, well, she's a grandma. Let's be nice. Let her go. And if the response from the Democrats are, okay, you won the election, we lost, fair and square. See you 4 years from now. That would be one thing. But the response from them is, you stole the election. There's no way Trump won legitimately. So let's hammer him. Let's hammer Republicans. Let's have these endless investigations. Let's lock people up. And we need to give these people a good, solid dose of their own medicine, or this will go on. The way you deal with bullies, you don't pat them on the back and tell them what great intentions they have. You give them a good taste of what they throw at us. And again, I'm speaking metaphorically, not literally, but these people need to feel the same consequences our side does, or they're going to continue to hammer us. And the only thing these people, I believe, respect is strength and resolve, and shrinking away and turning the other cheek. This is no time to turn the other cheek. You want to turn the other cheek in church on Sunday? Wonderful. You want to turn the other cheek vis-a-vis your next-door neighbor who may have done something you don't like? Great. But when you're dealing with these people particularly at the national level, the state level, even at City Hall, who are taking away our freedoms and try to turn us into slaves, you don't turn the other cheek with these people. You fight them with everything you have all the time until they stop doing what they're doing.
Yeah, speaking of turning the other cheek, I think what you're describing is in the law known as eye for an eye. This is from Bragg yesterday. Right after the arraignment, he had this to say.
Mr. Bragg, the indictment says that there were 34 false business records. And they were done to conceal another crime, but the indictment does not specifically say what those crimes were. We are assuming, perhaps, that they might be election-related. I'm wondering if you can specify what laws were also broken.
Right. So let me say as an initial matter, the indictment doesn't specify that because the law does not so require.
So he says, well, we're not going to put the actual crime in the indictment. So what is the crime? Well, we're not going to say. So the cover-up is of what then? It is of nothing? I can't quite figure this out.
Yeah, no, there's a wonderful book I recommend our listeners read if they've seen it before, which is The Trial by Franz Kafka. And it's exactly this. The main character, I think his name is Joseph K., is walking down the street. Some secret agents come up and arrest him, and he says, why am I being arrested? They say, we're not going to tell you. What are the charges? We're not going to say. Now you're free to go, but you're under arrest. And then he goes on throughout the rest of the book, walking around while he's under arrest, not knowing if they're going to put handcuffs on him or march him off to prison. And he doesn't know what the charges are. He has no way to respond. And there's the same thing now with Donald J. Trump, former president of the United States. If they said, look, you engaged in extortion, or this is money laundering, or this is wire fraud, then you can tell your lawyers, okay, prepare a defense against charges of wire fraud, extortion, blackmail, whatever it might be. But if you're a lawyer and your job is to get charged $500, $600 an hour to defend Donald J. Trump, you need to know what the law is they accuse him of breaking. So you can say, okay, here's how we'll prove we didn't do this, or you have to prove that you're guilty, and we're ready to provide evidence that he's innocent, what have you. You can't do that if you know what the charge is. I've never heard of such a thing. I'm not a lawyer, but I would think that in the first year of law school, you learn something about evidence or at least citing statutes and saying, okay, you're accused of violating statute X or statute Y, and here's how and why, and then you proceed from there. I'm going through this indictment. It's 16 pages. You can read it very quickly. It's not very, very long at all. And it keeps saying this intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime. Commit another crime. You see the phrase commit another crime over and over. They never say what the other crime is. And if you don't have the other crime, then all the other stuff they're alleging collapses, because you can't claim that there's a felony unless there's an underlying second crime that the first crime of the falsification of records is allowed to facilitate. So at some point he's going to have to say what the other crime is. I can't imagine any judge, even a liberal judge, saying, go ahead and proceed with the case, even though we don't know what the underlying law is that you're arguing has been broken.
Yeah, I love the fact that, to me, it's all boiled down to this. And I would like to know, I come from TV a little bit, elevator pitches are a thing where they say, how do you sum up what you're trying to say in 2 sentences? To me, this one is, you have a prosecutor who has said nobody is above the law. Now elect me so that I can find how this guy isn't above the law.
That's about right.
That seems to sum it up to me. But how do you, if somebody, you got 10 seconds in an elevator with somebody who goes, boy, that Trump's a criminal. How do you explain no, Deroy?
I'd say, look, you may not like him. You may say he's loud or unusual, whatever. But, if you're going to accuse him of breaking the law, you got to say what the law is. And also, we have something called statutes of limitations. This most recent, the 34 charges, the 34th allegedly occurred December 5, 2017. Well, felonies lapse after 5 years in New York, I believe, unless it's a murder or rape or something. December 5, 2017 plus 5 years, if I'm adding correctly, is December 5, 2022. If that's the case, the entire statutes of limitations have run on all of these 34 charges, in which case this whole thing should just be dropped right in a shredder, and Trump should be told, sorry for the inconvenience, sir, please get on with your life. I don't even think this thing stands up against the statute of limitations test, which is real basic stuff that any third grader ought to be able to understand. But I guess Alvin Bragg maybe didn't graduate the third grade.
Well, I think that's why, partially why he's doing felonies, is because you can say, we're charging you with felonies, and so the headline is felonies, and because that sounds better, and because they have a longer statute of limitations. So, Deroy, always appreciate your insight and your expertise here on the Annie Frey Show. Appreciate it.
All right, Ryan, great to talk to you. Be well. Thank
you. You too. All right, that is Deroy Murdock, covering what we talked about yesterday, how what I think Brad Young said, he's bootstrapped these things together.
Yeah.
So that he could come up with felonies, because Deroy's right, the statute of limitations.
Well, the statute,
on misdemeanors.
Yeah, it was 2 years on misdemeanors.
Yeah, so they couldn't even charge him with these things.
Man,
the federal government didn't want to charge him with it. Alvin Bragg said, "I'll do it."
So the charges are that he was concealing something. It was bookkeeping to hide a crime. And so what that reporter was asking him in that audio is what crime was he trying to conceal? And Alvin Bragg's answer was, I don't have to tell you.
Yes. Yeah.
That was his answer.
The law says I don't have to tell you, therefore I'm not going to, which implies I don't know.
Yeah. Well, doesn't matter. I'm going to prosecute you for concealing a crime that I know you committed that I don't have any proof of.
Yeah. Well, he knew that crime was committed before he was even in office.
Yeah. that whole thing about it just drives me up the wall because, like I said, I think I said this yesterday, they weren't looking for a crime that he committed. They knew he was guilty. They just got to figure out what was he guilty of.
Yeah.
That is the rhetoric, that is the language that is common across Twitter, across all of it. The Trump crime family, he's guilty of this, blah, blah, blah. We just got to find the crime.
Yeah. And that's the elevator pitch to me is, what did this DA campaign on? Did he campaign on truth and justice, or did he campaign on bringing down an enemy?
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah, legal minds do not have a lot of positive things to say about this case.
No. And across the board.
Right.
It's not just Republicans.
Yeah.
In fact, it's Republicans who don't even like Trump. You see Mitt Romney come out in defense of Trump, then you know that there's a problem with the case.
There's a big problem with the case.
And other people too, even Democrats. So let's take a short break. We're going to come back and talk with Mark Glennon. You want to know what happened yesterday in Chicago? Do you want to know how it affects you? Does it affect you? We'll find that out next here on the Annie Frey Show.
I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
When partnering with the Diamond Shop and having been a customer of theirs, both myself shop there, my husband shop there, we've shopped there together. One of the things that I appreciate so much about the Diamond Shop is how attentive they are to detail, how much they do listening and not telling, so that when you go through the process of making a jewelry purchase, you start maybe with a lot of questions in your mind, but at the end, you're confident that what you're buying, it fits in your budget, that it is exactly what you've looked for. They have beautiful pieces of jewelry inside the shop right now in the cases. They just are so pretty to look at, but they also have the opportunity to do custom jewelry. So if you are looking for a piece and it's not in there, talk to them about what you're trying to get. Talk to them about what you're trying to create. And you will have the best in the business at the Diamond Shop, ready to make that dream come true. If you go online to thediamondshop.net, you can become a VIP member and you get exclusive opportunities for discounts on merchandise. Find them online. Go shop at Clayton online at thediamondshop.net.
If you're looking at new windows for your house, choose wisely. Mark Cox here for my friends at Window World. You want to go with a company you can trust. Ranked #1 in the number of windows sold in the country. That's according to Qualified Remodeler magazine. In just over 20 years in business, they've improved the look and obviously the thermal efficiency of over 70,000 customers in St. Louis. They're going to give you a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts and the glass breakage and the labor. It's a good product. Call them at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate. That's 314-993-1800. Window World won the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. That's not easy. They rely on the expertise of their in-house engineers and their analysts and their product experts to give that seal of approval. That should matter to you as well. Call for your free estimate right now. Simply the best for less at Window World. 314-993-1800. windowworld.com.
If you own a small business, you know the value of time. GetRefunds.com does too. That's why they've made it easy, no matter how busy you are, to apply for the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC. Go to GetRefunds.com to get started, and in less than 8 minutes, see if your business qualifies for ERC assistance. Your business may be eligible for a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee kept on payroll during COVID-19. GetRefunds.com has already helped clients claim over $3 billion in payroll tax refunds through the ERC. And they may be able to help your business too. There's no upfront charge either. They don't get paid until your business gets its refund. Many businesses believe they won't qualify based off incomplete or outdated information, so don't let this opportunity pass you by, because this payroll tax refund is only available for a limited time. Go to GetRefunds.com. That's GetRefunds.com.
An update from the Illinois Family Institute, IllinoisFamily.org. Illinois House lawmakers could vote soon on SB 1909. The legislation will shut down pro-life pregnancy resource centers through fines and litigation. It also gives the Illinois Attorney General additional discretion to move against them.
They're coming after us every which way.
Attorney Ann O'Connor with the National Institute of Family and Life Advocates says voters should ask their state representatives to vote no on SB 1909.
There's already laws in place to deal with any kind of deceptive advertising or bad practices. And you're targeting these specific organizations who do great work, and we're watching.
For names and phone numbers of state reps, click Officials Finder at IllinoisFamily.org. IllinoisFamily.org.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Missouri Congressman Jason Smith.
Weaponizing the government against its citizens is the worst form of a society.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Let's rock!
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Your body's cold, but girl, we're getting so warm.
What the heck is this? Hannah.
Shake it, Metro Station.
You have just spoken something, but I still have no idea what that is.
This is Ryan's jam.
Yeah, apparently. This is the Sans Annie Frey Show.
See him in the neon shirt with the headband dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can dance. There's no doubt about that.
You've heard this song before.
No, I've not heard this song.
Yes, you have.
I'm going to quit wasting time. We've got a guest on the phone. His name is Mark Glennon. He's the founder of Wire Points. And we're talking about much more important things than this. Mark, thanks for being here.
Wish I could say, happy Wednesday or good afternoon, but it's just not the case today. So thanks for having me, though.
Yeah, it's not, is it? I was asking these guys in the room, Mark, about how you felt after the elections yesterday. It just feels like it's not the worst thing in the world, especially locally here. I mean, we've had some decent results here. But the national attention, at least, has gone to a couple races that didn't quite go the way you would have wanted. One of those is the Chicago mayoral race.
That's the big one. It's absolutely catastrophic. This is probably the most catastrophic vote that Illinoisans have ever taken. Yeah, I know it's just Chicago, but Chicago drives a lot of the economy, produces a lot of revenue. We thought that Lightfoot was lost because she was too easy on crime, too woke, too far left, all the stuff. All that's being doubled down by this guy, Brandon Johnson, who's truly a Marxist in all but name. There's some doubt whether any Paul Vallis or anybody for mayor could have conquered the problems that Chicago has right now, failing schools, out of control crime, pension and budget problems. But Brandon Johnson has no solutions for them. He's only going to make them much worse. It's only a matter of how bad this is going to get.
Yeah, Mark, what I've read about Brandon Johnson is that his plans are basically to take whatever Lori Lightfoot was doing and then go left of that, go further with some of her policies. Like, for instance, I'm going to not add to the police force, but I am going to maybe add some social workers, and I'm going to pay for that by further taxing businesses. Am I on here?
You got it. I mean, he's all for defunding police. He was clear about that originally. He didn't really back off of that. As you say, it's a matter of redirecting money within the police department to things other than policing. He made excuses, justified the violence in 2020, as a proper reaction to racism and all the rest. He said that standardized tests in schools are a form of eugenics against black people. This guy is way out there. And I don't think people have any idea. All the Chicagoans that stayed home and didn't show up to vote against this Marxist are going to regret it. And they're to blame. Turnout was only 35%. And Brandon won about half of that. That means that 72% of Chicago voters either showed up to vote for Brandon or didn't think this was important enough to come out and vote against him. That's disgraceful. And they're going to pay a heavy price for this.
Hey, Mark, I was just kind of wondering, what kind of campaign did Brandon Johnson run? Because I know Paul Vallis is not like extreme right or any of that. He's a Democrat. He was just moderate. But did he run? Did Brandon Johnson run on these policies, or did he more run putting down Vallis?
There wasn't a whole lot of substance to it. The one thing that I'll say for him, he's got a very charismatic speaking style. His dad was a minister, a pastor. He's picked up that kind of language, and it really is the kind of Marxist sort of rhetoric that fires up a certain element of the public, and there's certainly 20, 25, 35% of people in Chicago are radically left. So they really turned on to him. But in terms of policies, he was very concrete too about this slew of tax increases that would absolutely destroy business here. And, it'll be interesting to see how other Democrats react to this, if they distance themselves from him or if they embrace him. I tend to think that they're going to see this as a justification for the hard left, and they're not going to be so willing, as some of them have at least been, to distance themselves from the radical left. The radical left is going to see this as validation that their message works.
Yeah, I can't imagine being a business owner, especially a moderate-sized business owner, let alone a small one, and assessing the landscape of the Midwest and saying, where I want to open a business right now? Downtown Chicago. It sounds like a great place to be with their crime stats and the taxes that are coming. That sounds like where I want to be. Mark, as we're talking about Chicago, though, and you mentioned this kind of right as we started talking to you, Mark Glennon on the phone from Wire Points, what does this mean for the rest of the state? Because those of us, Brad, who was just asking you that question, and myself and Annie too, we all live in Illinois. We don't necessarily have any deep ties to Chicago other than the fact that it's the economic driver of the state. Is that what we have to be concerned about here?
It is an economic driver. That's the biggest thing. And as I say, all the Democrats in Springfield are going to feel emboldened about the attraction that they will think that the public has to the far left's message. Everything that we thought was resonating in this election, things like the anti-crime message that Paul Vallis struck, or school reform. Our schools are a disaster, of course, in Chicago. All that stuff is off the table, and so that stuff is going to pick up validation in Springfield. But it's that economic impact. It's only a question now of how bad it's going to get, and it may well be rubble, before people get the message and really turn things around. And that's bad for state revenue. State revenues, by the way, already dropped off this month compared to the same month last year. For March, that is. COGFA has a new report out today saying that it's only going to get much, much worse.
Mark, this is kind of a process question more than anything, but this was just a primary. The general, I'm assuming, is still a ways off, right?
Well, no, he's mayor-elect now.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
because this is that's why I was asking, because I was unfamiliar. Now, this is more of what they call like a jungle primary, where all the candidates and then the top two are doing this runoff. Gotcha.
That was last month, and that's when Lightfoot got knocked out, and the two top vote getters there were Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson, and then they just had the runoff yesterday, and Brandon Johnson won that by a couple points.
So Mark, as we're talking about now, we have a mayor-elect of Chicago, not we, but they who are there. Is there any silver lining here? And I know I can try to pick up the policy silver lining because I don't really see any. But when you're talking about a city like Chicago, this is a city that is overwhelmingly registered Democrats. And yet you have an election you just happened. It was 51-49. That seems a lot closer than it would have been if you had truly a wave election, right?
Yeah, I think the problem was all those people that stayed home, and it's a reflection of how much better the far left, to their credit, is really organized, and these people are dedicated. They're true believers. They got of course, this was really a win of the Chicago Teachers Union. Brandon Johnson works for the Teachers Union, and this was a big flex of power. They will, so it's not going to be Brandon Johnson negotiating against his Teachers Union for teachers' contracts and all the rest. It's just going to get worse and worse. In terms of silver lining, one reality here is that it has to get a lot worse before it gets better, before people turn around, or, maybe even a blue dog Democrat shows up and says, this is crazy. We're not Marxists. We got to turn this around. Well, they haven't gotten there yet, but they're closer to it now, a lot closer to it. So the day of reckoning is closer. But again, it's a matter of how bad is it going to get, and I'm afraid it's going to get horrible.
Hey, Mark, could you expound on his connection to the Chicago's teachers union a little bit?
Sure. He was, officially a organizer for them, pretty well paid, 6-figure income, and has been a major factor in their operations and all the rest for a long time. They are joined at the hip, fully aligned. The Chicago Teachers Union, of course, threw a lot of money into his campaign, millions of dollars. They're being sued for election violations on that right now, unfair labor practices, because that wasn't, properly okayed and disclosed to the union members. But so that, this was the Chicago Teachers Union, which is itself a Marxist organization. I mean, that's just not an exaggeration. They see themselves at the vanguard of a socialist workers' revolution across the country, using all the traditional language that you see from Marx and Lenin and all the rest. And if you just one quick point, if you don't need validation on that, the Illinois Policy Institute has a wonderful movie out about just that. It's entirely accurate.
Mark, as we conclude here, it sounds like what you're saying is that all of the systems that Brandon Johnson is raging against, saying that they're systemically racist and they're corrupt, those are the systems that essentially propelled him to victory. I mean, these are big institutions that pushed him into the mayor's seat.
That's right, and that's the problem. He's got all the elements of power aligned with him. Of course, the press is horrible, and in Chicago, it is entirely one-sided in favor of the left. This is the fundamental problem across the nation, but it's especially true in Chicago. You got the four forces of the apocalypse working for the other side. It's the press, the schools, which are political indoctrination camps, social media, which is rigged, against conservatives, and the FBI and the national security establishment to a large extent participating in that. So that's a difficult hurdle to overcome, and that gives that radical left, small as their numbers may be, vastly disproportionate power than the numbers would indicate.
Yes, it does. A lot of money and a lot of influence through those organizations and those systems. Mark Glennon, thank you so much for your time. Founder of WirePoints. How do people find you?
Wirepoints.org. We collect, wirepoints.org. I'll skip my advertisement. Just go to wirepoints.org.
Sounds good. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Value it and appreciate your expertise on this.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, not necessarily the outcome you were hoping. I think he summed it up when he said, you're looking for that day of reckoning where the voters finally go, okay, I've had enough of where this has gone. And you thought maybe that day of reckoning was going to be yesterday, and yet it wasn't. They barely put in another guy who's going to push that further down that road. Will there be a day of reckoning? I mean, you and I, Brad, we talked about it. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, or people just so...
Do they just become accustomed to the new normal and they say, well, I guess
this is just
we're just going to get used to not having any grocery stores in the city anymore. Stuff like that. And that's what happens. This is the Annie Frey Show, sans Annie Frey. This is the rest of the crew. My name is Ryan Wiggins, Hannah Gibbs, Brad Range, all with you this afternoon. Coming up next, a segment that I like to call Wiggins America. I'm not going to host that segment, though. Brad Range is going to host it. That's next here on the Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
saving money at Ruler Foods. It's impossible to go shop at Ruler Foods and not save money. They have all of the name brands that you normally shop, but they also carry Kroger brands at Ruler Food prices. You don't have to clip coupons. You don't have to go through all of that preparation it takes when you go grocery shopping to save money. You're just going to save by virtue of shopping at Ruler Foods. I appreciate how they set up the stores. They make the store layout. It makes a ton of sense. It's clean. It's inviting. And the people at Ruler Foods are always the kindest. Shopping at Ruler Foods is going to help you save on a whole variety of different options, different items. How about boneless pork chops or fresh hamburger patties sold in packs of 10 patties or chops for $10. Clementines or Honeycrisp apples, 3-pound bags, $3.47 a piece. Lay's potato chips or Tostitos, 4 for $9 when you buy 4. There are many ways for you to save at Ruler Foods on all of the different things you buy. If you haven't given them a chance to earn your business yet, just go one time for me and see what I've been talking about. Find your store at rulerfoods.com.
Spring is a great time to get a hold of my friends at the Chesterfield Fence and Deck Company. Mark Cox here. For the month of April, you can get 48 months zero financing at Chesterfield Fence and Deck on your next big project. Call them now, 636-532-4054. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. What are you in need of? You need a new fence? They've got beautiful cedar fences. They've got vinyl, low maintenance, lifetime fences. They've got aluminum as well. Their decks, they offer cedar and the Vecca Deck vinyl decking, which is maintenance free. You can't beat that. They take a lot of pride in their work at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Their pergolas, their sunrooms, whichever you pick, you can see it in person in their showroom in the Chesterfield Valley, just across from the outlet mall there off 109. Stop by and see them. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck today, 636-532-4054, or online at chesterfieldfence.com.
If you're a business owner, are you feeling the pressures of running your business? There's a limit to what you can do and still keep employees engaged. Insperity brings 30-plus years of HR experience to help you with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance while giving your employees competitive benefit options. You're able to focus on other priorities. Your employees can thrive and your business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Full-service HR, employee benefits, HR technology. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Warmer days are coming. Time to schedule your annual AC system check for as little as $15 a month. For any residential or commercial HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The voice for hardworking, free-thinking Americans.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Man, this song is so good. Whenever it comes on the radio,
I'm glad you like this one.
All the way up. I don't recommend you do that right now because then I would be screaming at you.
Yeah, I like this. I could play this on the bass.
Can you?
Really?
I can play this on vocals.
I own a bass guitar and an electric guitar, and I dream about being able to play them someday, but I never want to invest the time in learning.
Hannah, one thing I would suggest for next time I fill in.
Oh boy, what?
Find the Rickroll version of this song. Not where it just turns into like Rickroll right in the middle. That's what a real Rickroll is. Mm-hmm. But where they took They're no stranger to love.
And just put it
and
over
they put it to this song.
Oh.
It's really good.
Sounds like
It
I
works.
love those things.
Yeah. Yeah, find that one. So this is my great privilege to introduce to you Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
So I love doing Wiggins America. It's my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, thanks for saying that.
But I was sitting here and I was trying to think, I was like, man, what kind of story would I bring? And one of the things
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed though this week is it seems like every time some sort of big Trump news drops, there's a whole bunch of other really bad things for the Biden administration that goes on behind the scenes.
Like, we've been waiting to release this. Let's do it right now.
Let's release it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Close. I mean, not 100% on this. Like, the big one that I have here is the Chinese spy balloon was able to gather that sensitive information, and the Biden administration actually wasn't able to stop it from transmitting it. So whatever it got over there now, this is an NBC report, and they're saying that some senior officials in a former senior administration official, so 3 sources, unnamed, have said that China was able to control the balloon to the point where it was like doing figure eights in certain areas, gathering data and information, and transmit the information it collected back to Beijing in real time. So if you remember back whenever this originally happened, the Biden administration's like, we knew it was there. We were able to stop it from transmitting. The lie detector, according to this article, has determined that was a lie. So that was going on.
Of course it was a lie.
And so they do this, and this is why I'm bringing this up. I want our listeners to be educated and aware. Yes, the Trump news is big deal. It's historic. It's all of this other stuff. But usually when something historic goes on, it's like a magician. Watch what the other hand is doing. Don't take your eyes off the target. Because then I saw this where it says Brazil and China strike a trade deal agreement to ditch U.S. currency.
I'm so glad you brought this one up. I talked about this on my weekend show quite a bit, but go ahead.
Yeah, so apparently Brazil's been their leading trade partner has been China since like 2009 or whatever. But they have to use U.S. currency to determine the value of each one's monetary amount, and then they make their trades based on
It's like having a gold standard almost.
Right. So the dollar is the standard, and then what is it? Yuan and I forget Reais?
Brazil's currency. I don't remember.
Reais.
Okay.
And they've struck this deal where they don't even have to pay any attention to the dollar, which you're like, okay, big deal. Well, India also.
It's not just Brazil.
Yeah. Now,
Trump brought this up in his speech last night.
India's policy is to use the rupee now. So they're getting away from the dollar as the monetary standard. And Ryan, you said you talked about this on your show, so why don't you share with the listeners the dangers of this? Because I've heard some stuff from Glenn Beck, him saying, hey, this could be really bad for the U.S. dollar.
Well, it is. It's in between, though, because there are people who are very high-profile alarmists about this who are saying we are not paying close enough attention to this, and that's true. This is happening under Joe Biden's watch, partially because we have spent so much money, not even spent so much money, we have printed so much money that it has destabilized our own money. And that's one of the reasons that we're the world power is because of our money. I would go so far as to say that is the reason we're the world power is because of our money and our economy. Now, when you destabilize that and you make people less secure in it, they don't want to use it anymore because they go, you know what? What used to be worth $1 is now worth 80 cents. I don't really love that. I don't love that you have the power to do that. So I'm going to take that power away from you. China's doing it, obviously, because they don't like us, period.
Right.
Not just because they don't like the dollar.
Right.
But other countries, Brazil, India, they're following along because they don't fear. Here's the thing. Under Trump, you had these countries. China was not, it's not as if this is new to China. This isn't like China went, oh, man, the U.S. has the world's reserve currency. That's kind of bad for us. They've known this for a long time. They've wanted to get off of the U.S. dollar for a long time. But other countries didn't want to do it because they didn't want to make us mad. and because it was easy because we had a pretty stable dollar.
Well, wasn't China like guilty of very much manipulating their currency?
Oh gosh, yes.
So their currency isn't stable. It's all to the whim of the Chinese Communist Party.
And so the only reason these countries are doing it now is not because they trust China, it's because China's powerful and they're flexing their muscles against the U.S. So it's problematic and it's underreported. However, I want to go with the other side of this thing now and say that when you hear people, and I mean even in conservative talk world, saying things like, well, look out, this is being underreported, and next week we're going to be Venezuela, also not true. These things, it's hard to compare us to other countries who have overprinted money because, yes, the world reserve currency is chipping away at that foundation, but it doesn't happen overnight. These are things that happen very, very slowly, and because we're so big and our economy is so big and we've been the world's reserve currency, or at least, and when I say reserve currency, that just sounds like words. I'm explaining because what you're saying is that the dollar is kind of the standard that everybody compares things to. Even the way right now, if you buy Bitcoin, you're saying, oh, it's worth about $23,000. You're not using Bitcoin to exchange much still. You're still comparing it to dollars, even if you never put it into dollars. So the dollar being the standard is just the way people talk about money. And that is what's losing, what we're losing now. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't mean we lose our economy or power overnight. It's just another brick in the wall. To quote
and
Pink
if it
Floyd.
happens that slowly, then you have a chance of reversing it.
You do.
And restabilizing, rebuilding confidence. But here's the last one. And this, Ryan, if you would play cut number 12.
Sure. Here we go. This is General Mark Milley.
In my analysis of China, is that at least their military and perhaps others have come to some sort of conclusion that war with the United States is inevitable. I don't believe war is inevitable. I don't think it's imminent. But I do think that we need to be very, very pragmatic and cautious going forward, and we will reduce the likelihood of war if we remain really, really strong relative to China, and China knows that we have the will to use it if necessary.
So Mark Milley, General Milley, was in front of the U.S. Congress, and he was, giving him and Secretary Austin were there. And if you caught what he said there, China believes that conflict with the United States is inevitable. And so I want people to be aware this is going on. China is not our friend. They're not our competitor. They are preparing to fight a war with us.
Yeah.
And that's coming from this administration's, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff?
Yeah.
And he's saying it's not inevitable, which I hope he's right, but China's acting like it is. And if you have one belligerent side that is bound and determined to go to war with you, you may not have a say in it.
Look, here's another reason why this is a big deal. That if it is inevitable, we're not prepared for that under this administration at all.
Well, ironically enough, one of the other things he goes on to talk about is we have been giving munitions to Ukraine. Justified or not, wherever you fall on that, we have been depleting our stockpiles. Our stockpiles for munitions, for weapons and stuff like that are really low right now. Now is not that, we need to refocus on being prepared to fight a war, and not just fight a war against China.
And I'm not even going to mention that high-level government officials and companies in China have been paying, when we have the receipts and bank notes, to show that they've been paying the Biden family for a long, long time. I'm not even going to mention that because that clearly couldn't be a part of this story.
I hope it's not.
But if you have Donald Trump in office or a like-minded person, they understand, as we kind of open this segment talking about, that economics is warfare. You can defeat, let's say that you do have conflict with China. That conflict can look like it did in 2018 and 2019. Now, then a virus was released on the world, and you can speculate all you want as to the origins and the motive there. But when you compete with a country like China, it doesn't have to look like flying planes over their country or them flying planes over our country. It can look like economic warfare and other types of warfare.
Well, it's more likely to look asymmetrical than it is symmetrical warfare.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
But the fact is, you got to know who you're dealing with here.
Understand their intentions.
And the people who are in there right now do not. It sounds like Mark Milley at least has a vague understanding, but he spans administrations. I'm not saying he's the wisest person in the world. He's made some huge mistakes, huge mistakes. You could even say they were huge. But he is telling you something that I think that you should listen to there.
Mm-hmm.
I should say we should listen to there. I'm Ryan Wiggins. That's Hannah Gibbs. Hannah, you didn't say much in that segment.
You guys took it over. It's good.
Brad took it over for Wiggins America. That was great stuff. Thanks, man. So we're going to take a short break here. We have Kevin Killeen back with us in the next segment. He's been there for a couple hours down where that tornado struck just west of Cape Girardeau. We're going to talk to him for just a couple minutes, get an update. And then we're going to have Trisha in for Annie, Are You Okay? Sans Annie. It's the Annie Frey Show. 97.1 FM Talk.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. Learn the strategies that have helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 36 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Hi, this is Terry Hall, host of the popular radio show for veterans, Vet Time in America. Sundays at 12 noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Our show is all about veterans. We talk with experts. We help you get benefits, how to get more, and what to do if you're not getting what you deserve. Tune in on Sunday at noon. Join the conversation. We take calls. Vet Time in America. Tune in this Sunday at noon on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. They're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A message to China from Washington. Lisa Brady, Fox News. As lawmakers, including House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, meet with the president of Taiwan at the Reagan Library in California.
We have said there is no reason for Beijing to turn this transit into something that is used as a pretext to overreact.
White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says President Tsai Ing-wen's transit in the U.S. is not uncommon as part of an official visit elsewhere to Central America. She stopped in New York on the way there, greeted by protesters.
She's been hounded by these pro-China protesters, not just here, but in New York as well. Now, she met with 3 U.S. senators when she was in New York, and now, today, meeting with Speaker McCarthy and a bipartisan group of 18 members from Congress. Now, in response, China has already initiated live fire drills in the Taiwan Strait. They've crossed into contested waters there, not unlike they did when Speaker Pelosi went last year.
Fox's William Lajeunesse in Simi Valley. A tornado that carved a path in southern Missouri early today is now blamed for at least 5 deaths.
The major damage was reported in Bollinger County, with the village of Glen Allen among the hardest hit areas. Homes have been leveled with downed trees and power lines throughout that area. Sergeant Clark Parrott of the Missouri State Patrol says they have organized a search for more victims.
We have established a unified command here with the high school, with state and local authorities, all operating in concert with each other.
This is the most recent in a series of severe weather events in the South, Midwest, and Mid-Atlantic that has killed dozens of people and left widespread destruction. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Just getting word that former Vice President Mike Pence will not appeal an order to testify in a Justice Department probe of January 6th. America is listening to Fox News.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale starts now with limited quantity deals on select performance PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Save on select Vostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Save on select essential accessories plus free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do bank closures, inflation rate hikes, and the roller coaster of the market frighten you as much as it does me? You need to call Oxford Gold. Securing your IRA or 401k with real gold and silver is a portfolio protection plan, and Oxford Gold has made it as easy as 1, 2, 3. One app, one call, and you pick the precious metals. That's it. You now own real precious metals. Call Oxford Gold today and learn more about the 1, 2, 3 protection plan at 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We go into a quiet stretch, but it's going to be very windy throughout the afternoon with lots of sunshine, 60 degrees by sunset. Tonight, partly cloudy, cold. It's windy not only this evening, but all night long, 35. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshine and cool, 58. Some spotty frost away from the city Thursday night. All is quiet Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Shopping for flooring is made easy when you shop at a St. Louis family-owned and operated business like Michael's Flooring Outlet. Go online right now to igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com, and you can shop through the different products that they carry, the different finishes that they have, the different kinds of carpeting that they have. You can learn about the different opportunities in carpet that may make it a little more livable than you think. Some people are turned off by it, but if you like carpet like I do, they have the Mohawk Smart Strand. It is there to help you live your life on it and not have to worry about spills and allergies and pets and all of that stuff. Michael's Flooring Outlet will have a staff member who is experienced in selling flooring. They understand the ins and outs of the technology that's involved in flooring, and technology might be very advanced compared to the last time that you've gone through the flooring purchase. If you're shopping for your home, if you're shopping for your business, go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Also, if you're looking to do a project at like a local church, Michael's Flooring Outlet will walk you through the whole thing. You can shop online or visit one of their stores. Find them at igotfloored.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Do you hate standing on concrete floors because of foot, knee, or low back pain?
I couldn't stand on hard surfaces. The pain would get so severe that I couldn't stand it.
Tired of living in pain?
I wanted to take off my shoes as soon as I got home every day.
You need comfort in your life.
Now I have no foot pain and I can wear any dress shoe that I want.
Good Feet fits in all your shoes. Ladies, you can now be comfortable in your favorite high heels. Good Feet. No shots, no surgery, no medication.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations. On Olive, west of I-270 in the plaza with Subway, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Dearborn's.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Comfort, energy, performance, and pain relief at the Good Feet store.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When children were being fatally injured by window blind cords, Honor Law took on the manufacturers to have dangerous cords banned.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618 $9 million.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Let's vote for Ophthalmology Associates as best laser eye treatment in St. Louis Magazine's A-List competition. Online at stlmag.com.
Free speech has a home. 97.1 FM Talk.
Your home for conservative talk.
One of the only places where conservative ideas aren't shut out of the conversation.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie-Frey Show.
Well, the blue areas are getting bluer, the red areas are getting redder, and the swing areas are getting swingier. Hi, this is Ryan Wiggins.
Oh, my gosh. What are you doing?
This is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Frey along with Brad and Hannah, who are literally here just to keep me in line. I really do think that's why they said, why don't you guys be in the studio the whole time? Because Wiggins is behind the big mic today. So we are talking about, of course, the local elections that happened yesterday, and not just local, but local to different parts of the country. We mentioned the Supreme Court election in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we did not talk about there, and I say swing states are getting swingier on purpose because that is truly a swing state. It is not changing. The pendulum just keeps going back and forth there. I mentioned that the Senate race from 2022, remember 2022? It was like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
It was not long ago.
Wow.
And that November was 6 months ago. Ron Johnson won, the Republican, and a very conservative Republican.
Ron Johnson from Wisconsin.
I don't want to say MAGA Republican, but it's like he predates MAGA, but he's been America First kind of, let's dive into this deep state kind of stuff for a long time. He's been there for a long time. And he won that race easily in November, and yet you just had a Democrat win the state Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin also easily.
Yeah, whenever you were talking about that, it sounds like you were describing that being more of a single issue election.
I think it might be, because it does seem like they made that whole race about abortion.
So if that's the single election issue and that's how they won that doesn't necessarily mean that Wisconsin is leaning or trending blue. It just means that on that subject, they are trending pro-abortion.
And I think the opposite is true. I think that state is actually among the Rust Belt states and the northern Midwest states. Wisconsin is probably leaning red more than the others, and they are increasingly so. But it's still a swing state. And that's the point, is that they haven't really gone in either direction like, for instance, Ohio has or Florida has. Those used to be, as you recall. Well, Pennsylvania is not quite there either. Ohio and Florida have been swing states for my entire lifetime, and now they're not.
No,
they're just not
even close.
No.
Missouri was a swing state for a while.
Yeah, and it trended redder even before those states did. And you look at a state like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, which you just mentioned, Michigan, not quite there yet. But these are states that really are, I think, over the next 10 years, the pendulum swings because they're swing states. That's what they do. But they're moving right. Now, you have other states throughout the country that are moving left. Virginia is a great example of that. Used to be a red state back in, the 90s, even early 2000s. That has moved left. Yet, it's still the pendulum swings there too. And there is a full Republican legislature there right now and governor.
The interesting thing about Virginia is it's still a red state, but it gets a lot of DC spillover, which is what drives, that's a big population base, and that drives that back to purple and blue.
And however you want to define it, Virginia has been moving bluer as a state because of mainly the D.C. suburbs and the D.C. sprawl of people leaving Washington, D.C. and moving into a nice place like Virginia, for instance, and moving that state bluer. But I wanted to ask you guys a question based on the Wisconsin Supreme Court case. We're going to talk to Kevin Killeen in just a minute, by the way. He is down there in Glen Allen, Missouri, where the tornado has hit. There's been 4 casualties, and he's going to kind of just assess the situation briefly with us here in a couple minutes. But before we get there, the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, that is a candidate there, and let me get their names right here because they're I don't want to mispronounce them. It was Dan Kelly was the more Republican. Now, they're not affiliated with parties, but he was the more conservative of the two, and then Janet Protasewski. Yeah, we're just going to go with that. She was the liberal-leaning court, more activist between the two. So Republicans were more supporting Dan Kelly, and liberals were supporting Janet. We'll just skip her last name. Between those two, Dan Kelly denied support from Trump. Now, I don't know whether there was a direct olive branch from Trump that he said, hey, I'll come support you, or whether his team was talking about should we involve Trump, but there was a very deliberate decision there for Dan Kelly, and he said, no, I don't really want to have Trump or anything associated with Trump as part of my campaign. Do you think in a state like Wisconsin that hurts him or helps him? Now we have the election behind us. We know he didn't win. Did it hurt him?
I think that in a swing state, a Trump endorsement, so say, would not help. I think
even in light of a loss, you think it would have been worse.
I'm with Hannah on this.
Yeah, I don't. If it was a deep, like Missouri is getting pretty deep red, a Trump endorsement for Missouri would be great. People already lean that way anyway, but for a swing state, when people aren't sure, they see Trump and they think more extreme, and that's probably not, something they would swing to. So
even in light, now we get to Kevin Killeen here in a second, but even in light of the fact that Ron Johnson very much supported Trump and ran as not necessarily as a MAGA candidate, but as a very conservative candidate, and he won.
Yeah, I think the reason that Dan Kelly lost is because of spending. I think
you're right.
I think it was spending. I think it's
5-1.
5-1 is a
5-1.
huge amount to overcome. Now, if Donald Trump had weighed in on this with some campaign funds, that might have made a difference, but I don't think his name actually helps that.
With a wink and a nod. Got to agree with that. Kevin Killeen is on the phone. He is in South Missouri. He's about 50 miles south of us right now, and he's had a chance to, I guess, be talking to people a little bit more. Kevin, how's it going down there?
Good. We've been walking around the area where some 50 or 60 homes were hit very hard. This is a rural area, sort of a picturesque place, nestled in a valley, and a tornado came over the hill, and you can see the blonde snapped tree, the fresh wood line where all these big trees were snapped, and then into the valley where these 50 or so homes were. The trees are leaning in the direction of the ferocious winds that came through. I mean, let me kick this here so you can hear this. Here's a big piece of tin corrugated siding from somebody's barn that's just sculpted around the Highway ZZ sign here in Glen Allen. And there's a Martha White's biscuit sticks truck from the olden days that's thrown on its side. There's a field of natural gas tanks, propane, and they are letting off a lot of gas. It smells like gas in the area. I don't know the details on that, but there doesn't seem to be anybody running away from that as a potential threat. Down power lines everywhere, cadaver-sniffing dogs. They haven't found anything today, but it's a very active, walkable scene, and I'm impressed with how friendly everybody is.
The last we had heard is that there were 4 casualties. Is that still the case, Kevin?
Well, the Missouri Highway Patrol told us it's 5 now, and that was as of an hour ago. They have not identified them nor explained the circumstances, whether they were all members of one family or they were in a home or in a field. But 5 people are dead in the storm. It hit a couple of different population areas. This is the Glen Allen subdivision, as I mentioned, but about 12 miles up the hill, there's a town called Grassy where it also hit. So it's a pretty widespread thing. Here's the most strange thing I heard today. There was a man whose home wasn't hit, and he said he heard the rushing wind, and he looks out the window. He doesn't know it's a tornado yet, but he sees like headlights or something lifting off the ground and twirling around, and he couldn't figure out what it was. It was some sort of vehicle that he said was in the distance that had been picked up with its headlights on, and that's when they went for the basement. It's a kind of a roulette wheel of destruction for many of these people. The guy next door might have had his home completely demolished, and the person you're talking to's home was spared. It's a very hopscotch, indiscriminate who gets it and who doesn't down here.
Yeah, isn't that strange when you're there? And I've never been where you're at, whether that be Glen Allen or just a tornado site. But with the images that I see, it's always so strange to see how those things, they'll drop in all of a sudden and then they're done. But you said this one was hitting multiple towns. Did it do that to each town where it would just drop in, hit a certain area, and then it was up again?
Well, and you don't know if it's the exact same corkscrew that hit each town. Maybe, I always think of a tornado as sort of like a upside-down bathtub drain where you got the warm air on the ground is rising and it pokes a hole through a flat ceiling of cold air. And once it finds a hole, the air on the ground goes crazy, swirling around like it swirls to go out of a bathtub, but it's going up, and it pulls everything with it. So it's like some of this damage might be sort of like the vacuum effect, where it's sucking things within a certain periphery as it passes by them. And, one house might just be kind of like when you're using your vacuum to go after something, the wand part, it doesn't quite grab everything unless you're right on it.
Mm. So, Kevin, have you been around the community center? Is that where they're telling people to go right now?
As far as evacuation, people who are being sheltered?
Yeah.
I was surprised to hear there doesn't seem to be any organized event by the government, but they said there's a Baptist church that's taking a lot of people in. So, I don't know. And, this area, I have to say one other thing. There's a different culture. You do a lot of stuff about politics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And down here, I've noticed they're very liberal, in the good sense of the word, about access to the area. Just don't step on any live wires, have at it. But if it were in the city of St. Louis, they'd have a yellow tape wrapping up like the mummy, and you couldn't take 2 steps. They'd say, stay down the road and we'll tell you what we saw. But, they're just saying, use your common sense. You can go in there, but don't get hurt. It's kind of an interesting, laid-back culture down here.
It's kind of all hands on deck, I'm sure. It's like, we don't know any better than anybody else. Just get in there and clean stuff up.
Yeah, but it is dangerous. I mean, there's so many boards with nails sticking up, and there's the down wires, and just, a lot of people are driving around in a hurry. So it is kind of a little bit dangerous.
All right, Kevin, well, are you going to be there the rest of the day?
No, I'm going to go into town at the McDonald's and see if they have any hamburgers left over after the crisis.
Okay. You report back to us how that goes.
All right. I'll see you. Thanks.
Thanks. That's Kevin Killeen. He is down there in Glen Allen, about 50 miles south of St. Louis, where we sit anyway. He's reporting on the amount of hamburgers left at the McDonald's. We will find that out. We will bring it to you live here on the Annie Frey Show. We're going to take a short break. Myself, Ryan Wiggins, Hannah Gibbs, Brad Range in studio with you on this day where, gosh, has there been a lot going on both today and yesterday. Hope that we have brought it to you well. We still have a couple segments to bring to you, so
Trish
stick around.
Come in next segment.
Yeah, we're going to do Annie, You're Okay Without Annie. We're going to just say whether Annie would be okay with these things on her behalf. That's next on the Annie Frey Show.
Let it all go. I've been too low, so it's high time.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I'm getting rid of the flash.
Buying or selling a home is a difficult thing in any climate, in any market. But when you are in the market we're in right now, you want to make sure that Jen Teskey is there to walk you through the whole process and take that burden off of your shoulders. Jen Teskey with RE/MAX Alliance will help you buy and sell your home in Illinois. She knows the market better than anybody else, and her team is the very best in the business. You work with Jen Teskey to list your home. She is going to position you in the best possible light to make sure that you get top dollar, that you sell fast, that you have an experience where you don't have to shoulder the burden of all of the things that go along with preparing a home to sell. She's going to guide you through that whole process. She's going to tell you where you don't need to spend money to position your home the best, or maybe where it might be beneficial in the long run if you do fix up this place or that thing. Jen Teskey is there to walk you through the process and give you confidence and that quick sale you've been looking for. Call her or text her, 618-541-1010. Jen Teskey at 618-541-1010. That's 618-541-1010.
If you like radically honest stories, you'll love the podcast Risk. Risk is where people tell true stories they never thought they'd dare to share. Like the one about the guy who cooked and served his own leg to his friends as tacos. Or the woman who found out the person she was sharing kinky fantasies with online was her dad. If you think you've heard it all, just wait till you hear Risk. Available now on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you want to see better in the new year, there's no better time to call Brenton Vision than right now. Mark Cox here. My friends at Brenton have everything you need to get the crisp, clear vision you've always wanted. Call them at 314-375-2020 or go online today to brentonvision.com. They are the only team in Missouri to perform all 7 FDA-approved forms of vision correction. That includes modern LASIK, permanent contact lenses, and if you have bad reading vision, they even have treatments for you too. So stop throwing your money away. My wife got lens replacement. She sees perfectly these days, and she loves it. Quit putting it off. If it's standing in your way of achieving your goals and your resolutions, Brenton Vision is here to help. Call them today at 314-375-2020. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. That's 314-375-2020. Or schedule right now at brentonvision.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Sherlock Holmes, we have a new mystery.
My dear Watson, what conundrum requires our sleuthing?
It's these high gas prices, Sherlock. How do I stop paying too much at the pump?
Elementary, Watson. Simply use the cashback app, Upside.
The Upside app has eluded my attention.
Oh, come now, Watson. Upside is the revolutionary app that's free to download, and you get real cashback for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
So you can really make cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway.
Precisely, my dear Watson. I have the app open now. Look, there's a gas station not far from here offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Sherlock, you've done it again. I will now use the Upside app and earn cash back on every gallon of gas I buy.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HOMES to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HOMES for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HOMES for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
This is the Sans Annie Frey Show. I am Ryan Wiggins, Hannah Gibbs, Brad Range, and Trisha Siekman / Everding is in studio. Hello.
Hi, friends.
Hi. So as I'm looking down,
Hey.
this feels like our weekend show where you come in and you're like, welcome. And you're like, thanks. And then we just sit there and look at each other for a minute and go, what are we going to do? Oh, yeah. So I'm looking down at the YouTube, live chat poll. It is, now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? I am very interested to see the results of this poll, actually.
Yeah, I am too.
Because this is one that I think really could have an impact. But if it doesn't, that's just as big of a story.
I have a theory on which one's going to come out on top.
You guys will figure out at 2:45.
Tell us your theory.
No, I don't want to mess the vote, but I will share it at the top of 2:45.
Well, it's not necessarily your opinion. It's just your theory on the vote. It's not whether you would.
Yeah, but there are people out there that would just be like, "Oh, well, I'll show him."
I mean, you're such an influencer too. People would be like, "Oh, what did Brad say? I'm going to say that."
Yeah. Some people do that. Mainly just me.
Trisha's here to do Annie, Are You Okay?
And now it's time to play Is Annie Okay With This?
Hi, guys. All right.
Hi, Trisha.
This was a late ad. As I was walking in, I saw a news alert. The new Little Mermaid remake changed lyrics from the original songs to emphasize consent and empower girls.
Good. Because when I originally watched the first one, I was like, this doesn't have consent or empower girls.
They changed Kiss the Girl, didn't they?
They sure did. So the Little Mermaid composer Alan Menken revealed in a new interview with Vanity Fair that he updated the lyrics of 2 songs from the original animated film in the new live-action adaptation. He says there are some lyric changes in Kiss the Girl because people have gotten very sensitive about the idea that Prince Eric would in any way force himself on Ariel. He also says that Poor Unfortunate Souls was changed because it might make young girls somehow feel that they shouldn't speak out of turn, even though Ursula is clearly manipulating Ariel to give her a voice.
Well, yeah. That,
Wait,
and
what?
Then, well, the thing about Kiss the Girls is that was Ariel's plan. She needed to get kissed by Prince Eric.
What's the plot? She loses her voice. I remember that.
Right, and I think she goes to Ursula and she makes a deal with the quote unquote devil to get a voice. Wait, no, loses
to get
her
legs.
voice to get legs. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute.
How do I get me some legs?
Right. I'm gonna get some legs. I don't need to talk about it. And Ursula essentially bullies her, I guess.
If I give me some nice legs, nobody will care what I say anyway.
I wouldn't say bully, but she definitely manipulates
her.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, apparently that's a no-go. Are you guys okay with them changing the lyrics?
No.
Hannah says no. I say as long as the plot is still that she's trying to get some legs, I am fine with it.
There are so many things that I don't like about this remake, and like one of the things is Sebastian the crab. Do you remember how he was like, very anthropomorphic, very human expression? They just have a crustacean, like regular crab.
Ew.
That talks.
Does it have a voice?
Yes. And I'm like,
trippy.
I'm out. I'm out.
What about, is Flounder in this one?
I believe so.
So is that just a regular fish?
I'm assuming so. I haven't seen anything on that, and I haven't seen the internet blow up.
Like the littlest
A regular little fish.
Weird.
Yeah, because they would talk to each other, look each other in the eye in the cartoon. It's just a fish.
I'm not okay with it.
Thank you.
Scotland to put self-driving buses into service. The next generation of self-driving vehicles will soon hit the road in Scotland. The country has announced plans to put self-driving buses into service starting in May. They're going to have 5 buses that transport passengers on a 14-mile route. That journey is approximately 10,000 people every week. Despite the fact that they're driverless, each bus will be manned by 2 transportation employees, one monitoring technology, the other assisting with boarding and tickets. Are you guys okay with self-driving buses?
Dude, I'm cool with that job. I want to be the guy that's just sitting there monitoring the technology on my phone.
Like, does the bus have a steering wheel still or no?
I don't know.
Or did they just sit there and go, oh no, and there's like a big red stop button and they hit it and the bus has to stop?
I would hate to be the guy that is sitting there when something goes wrong,
Mm-hmm.
assuming that it doesn't go wrong very often.
I also like that guy who's monitoring the technology, whatever that means, also cannot take tickets. That is too much. You got to have a second guy there to do that
There's
part.
a ticket taker, and that's a union job.
You could ask, if you've got 2 people on this bus operating it anyway, does it really need to be self-driving? True.
That's a really good point. That maybe the guy monitoring the technology could just drive the bus.
Just steer steer the wheel, press the pedal.
Might have to pay them less because it seems like an easier job than fixing whatever goes wrong with the
Full
technology.
engineer on board.
Yeah.
He's got a doctorate or whatever you need for that.
Be able to fix the sensors and whatever. It's like, it's getting a little close and he's got to undo the wiring and rewire it.
I don't think I would get on a self-driving bus.
I'm not getting on it, but this is in Scotland, and I'm okay with them being the test dummies for this.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah, let them do it.
You guys figure it out.
I'm way more in favor of the self-driving car thing than I think you guys are.
I'm okay with it. I don't want to take part in it. I don't want it to be like mandated that you have to have a self-driving car.
No, I don't either. I hope we never get to that point. But the idea and the picture painted was so fake future. Like that we'd never actually get there. But this idea that you just push a button on your phone and a car just shows up and takes you, and you wouldn't even have to own a car. I'm not saying I would not want to own a car, but you wouldn't have to because there's self-driving cars everywhere.
I'm not a fan of any of that.
And then you could sleep on your way to work. You could work in, the middle of Kansas and drive, leaving in the middle of the night and work there if you wanted to. Although
That's a stretch.
Right? I know.
Things people would do, Ryan's like, I'd commute further.
Press a button, sleep on my way to work.
Think about the vacations you could take. You could drive to Portland. I don't know why you want to go there.
I love taking Amtrak to Chicago, for example, because I like the freedom of being able to work or watch a movie or walk around and have snacks. If my car could do that.
And you can get in, you could order a special sleeping car where you can, I'm about to go to sleep. It's 10:30. I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be in Duluth.
Obviously.
The worst places. I would need to trust it a lot more. Right now, there's not enough background on it.
There's some technological kinks that they have to work out.
Hannah, what you're saying is that you agree with me and Brad. Let Scotland do it.
Yeah, let them do it. Let them figure it out.
You're okay, Annie?
You're okay, Annie?
Perfect.
SpaghettiOs announces collaboration with Frank's Red Hot for the release of their newest flavor, SpaghettiOs Spicy Original.
Love it.
The unique
I knew you
flavor
would.
features O-shaped pasta and tomato and cheese sauce with a mild medium heat level. It's made with millennials in mind to satisfy their cravings for spicy foods with a meal that represents their childhood.
That's so weird.
You know what millennials
Is it wrong,
really like?
though?
Spicy foods. There's a deep craving
and
there.
nostalgic childhood memories.
Millennials
they're
do
right.
like that, but
Dude, the minute you started talking about SpaghettiOs, I was like, oh.
Yeah, makes you feel happy.
It makes me feel like childhood.
There's a whole thing of childhood that I missed out on because my parents never bought SpaghettiOs.
Really?
Oh, man, they're cheap, too.
Yeah,
what were
they
your
were the
parents
best.
buying you?
Like
sushi?
I think the closest we had, to SpaghettiOs was like Chef Boyardee, canned ravioli and stuff like that.
Those too.
I got to question your parents because there's literally no difference in price between those two things or any sort of carb count or
Go for it. They were not worried about any of that. They just said, no, you don't want those. Those are disgusting.
I loved those as a kid. I can
too.
smell them and see the red in the bowl.
After school, you'd get home, you'd pop a can of SpaghettiOs or the Chef Boyardee raviolis
Yeah,
or
they're
beefaroni.
kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
I was weird. I would just eat them out of the can.
Oh,
what the heck?
When you didn't warm them up?
Yeah, the raviolis, just ate them cold.
Ooh.
What the heck is wrong with you?
Did you not have a microwave either?
Oh, we had a
Did your
microwave.
parents think those
we
were
had a
gross,
microwave.
He couldn't figure out how to get them out of the can to put them in the microwave. He would always put them in the microwave in the can. Like, it's doing it again.
Too hot.
It's doing that lightning thing.
Well, according to SpaghettiOs, the millennial generational group actually makes up 1/3 of their total annual sales. So they actually have some stats behind their marketing. Are you guys okay with spicy SpaghettiOs?
I am.
I am too. I think it sounds fantastic.
I would try it.
And on behalf of Annie, no. I made her unlikable.
I think she'd be into it.
Vicky on our chat said she ate them cold too. So thank you, Vicky.
All right.
I'm not alone.
Oh, Vicky.
It's
She
still
considers you
gross.
an influencer and she just does whatever you say.
Still gross.
So did Hunter. You could eat them bad boys cold.
Oh, forget it. Fine, I lose.
I'm not alone.
Okay. Chicago suburb wants police drone surveillance at community events. The St. Charles City Council supports changing a state law to allow police departments to use drones for surveillance at community events. Currently, drones can only be used after a crime has been committed. This would be for surveillance purposes. If an event is on private property, a drone must be authorized before it can fly over the event. Are you guys okay with police drones at public events?
Would this be in place of real police officers?
Not necessarily. No, it would be additional surveillance.
I don't have a problem with it.
It's like a mobile.
Think state fair is how I picture it.
Like mobile surveillance cameras.
Putting eyes in the sky.
Again, this is like a picture of the future that I never thought I'd actually be dealing with.
Yeah,
Walking
here we
around
are.
at the state fair, getting a corn dog and a deep fried Twinkie, and oh, look, there's a
Yeah,
drone
you hear
watching
it.
me.
Yeah,
just like the old days.
A subtle buzzing sound above you, and you look
Yeah.
up. It's like, oh.
We see you. No, I am not okay with this. I just don't like it. I have no idea why. I just don't
I'm
like
fine
the
with
idea.
it.
I don't like it either.
More
And
protection's good with me.
But it's because I don't trust government.
Yeah,
I just don't
know.
trust them.
I know. Like, what are they going to do with it outside of just patrol?
It'll start off. No, it would absolutely start off for what Hannah's saying, innocently enough. But the conspiracy theorist in me says, well, look at how well it worked on state fairs. So let's do this for monitoring the streets. And then next thing you know, they're like flying their drones up to your window and telling you to turn your thermostat down because you're using too much energy.
Turn your thermostat down. You know what else?
How drones talk.
Yeah. You know what else? You look up and they're leaving behind chemtrails now. You don't even know what they're doing. As long as here's I'll say I am okay with it. As long as if it's over my property, I can shoot it down. As long as you write that into the bylaws, I'm fine with it. Last one?
Sure. A new study finds that 60% of people avoid talking politics with friends to keep the peace. The Morning Consult surveyed 2,207 people and found out that 59% of respondents said that they had stayed quiet to avoid conflict over the previous 2-month period, while 22% say they flat out lied about their opinions to avoid a fight.
Yikes. No kidding.
Some of the topics people were reacting to were sexual identity, abortion, political campaigns, race relations, guns, immigration, climate change, crime, policing, and education. Are you guys okay with the idea of keeping your opinions to yourself to keep the peace?
It's really hard with what we do because most people know.
Yeah.
It's the hard room to talk about because before I did this, my opinion on it would have been very different. But now most people know what I do and my opinions on most things.
I'm okay with avoiding the topic, but if somebody else brings up the topic, no.
You know what's weird is that when somebody else brings up the topic usually to be a rabble rouser, one of the most effective things you can do is just say nothing and let them kind of hang out to dry. Because in social situations, the room just gets awkward and you don't even have to fight them. You can just be like, ew.
That's embarrassing.
Now, if somebody else brings it up and they're asking you a direct question, that's actually a great place to be because then you're like, look, I didn't bring this up, but I'll tell you exactly what I think. And I will never back down from those situations.
I don't think you should back down from I think that you should understand and research your political beliefs and be prepared to defend them. And if somebody asks about you, you can say, hey, this is why I believe what I believe.
So we all agree?
Yep.
Then Annie would say no.
She would definitely not.
He's never taking time off ever again.
That's one of my favorite. That's why I said, can we do this on Wednesday instead of Thursday? Because I love speaking on behalf of the host. This has been great. Man, it's been a busy day. Again, that YouTube live chat poll is now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? Less likely, more likely, doesn't change. We'd really like to know your opinion on this. So get on the live chat there on YouTube and vote. We will bring those results to you in the next segment. Also, something I've not been able to talk about all day because it's been so darn busy. There's been some really good political news that has gone unreported almost entirely. I don't think you've heard of this, and it's a pretty big deal. Talk about it next.
Tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Stewart's American Mortgage, 314-324-4440. He's the bagel loan guy. And if you are looking to refinance your house, here's the deal. And the economy right now is a little bit shaky, and credit card debt is going up through the roof. Interest rates are out of control. Have you considered, depending on what kind of situation you're in, possibly doing a cash out refinance from your home? Maybe you have the value in your home that you can pull out, lower that rate that you're going to be paying on that credit card and get rid of that credit card debt right away. Maybe it's another type of improvement that you need to do to your house. The second time we refinanced with Stewart's American Mortgage and the bagel loan, it was so that we could do a cash out to replace the deck on the back of our house. It was shaking when you walked on it. It had to be replaced. I went to Stewie. I trust Stewie, and I trust you in Stewie's hands. Call him or text him and mention the Annie Frey Show when you reach out to him at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. My friend Stewie is waiting right by his phone for your call or text. Google the bagel loan and MLS number 226715.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Who will dare to find a new way to think about energy? One that connects our lives like never before and creates a world where we can breathe easy. NewScale dared by making 24/7 carbon-free energy a reality with our Voyager SMR power plants. Let's see how bright the future can be when cleaner, safer energy is available to all. NewScale. Power to the world. Power for all humankind. Discover the future of energy at newscalepower.com.
I'm Missouri Public Service Commission Chairman Scott Roop. Whether planting a tree, building a fence, or planning a larger project, you must call 811 3 days before you dig. It's the law.
Dig safely, it's the law.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, the latest on the Trump indictment and reaction. Plus, our friends Alex, Rich, and Hayes from Y98 always visit during the 4 o'clock hour.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is kind of a big deal. This is not the news I was talking about. I'll get to that in just a second. But Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, currently, Fox News reporting that he is right now defying China. He's actually in Taiwan meeting with the Taiwanese leader. Remember when Nancy Pelosi was going to do that and then China said something and she backed down? And maybe she eventually went.
She did go.
She eventually went, but she certainly didn't according to her first plan. So it's just interesting that they're doing this. I'm glad. I was glad, actually. I praised Nancy Pelosi for still going through with that. I wish she would have done it the first time. but she did go through with it, as far as I remember. And now Kevin McCarthy is there. I like that they're doing this.
Yes, it's that thing about displaying strength on the world stage. China's like, you can't go there, or what else? Well, they're not your country. I know you think that they are, but they're not your country, and you can't dictate to them, nor can you dictate to us what we can do with another country.
Exactly. And there is bipartisan support on this. Rare bipartisan support.
This is good.
You know what's crazy is that there are things that are bipartisan. We just never hear about them because they happen. And then you don't ever know about it.
And I don't want us to fall into the trap of thinking that everything that's bipartisan is good.
I don't either.
Sometimes there's bipartisan things out there. You're like, well, this is garbage from both sides.
It's so funny because you will hear that kind of reporting and they go, there is bipartisan support. And as if they're using the word as a synonym for good.
Yeah. It's like, and?
Yeah,
what does it say?
What's the policy? What are you talking about? Well, there's bipartisan support for it. That doesn't mean that it's good always.
We got enough people from the other side to cross the aisle to enslave you. It's like this. I don't care.
Oh, that's great. There's bipartisan support for it. Speaking of which, this is the good news that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't even know if you've heard this or not. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. A North Carolina Democrat.
I saw this tweet.
I have not. What is it?
Well, Brad already saw it, so I'm going to move on. A North Carolina Democrat is expected to change parties. Okay, right. No big deal. That stuff happens every now and then. This is a pretty big one, though. It is going to give the Republicans a supermajority in North Carolina where there is a Democrat governor.
I did not see this part.
Now they can override his veto on anything they want.
Which, wasn't North Carolina trying to pass concealed carry? Or constitutional carry? And he vetoed it? Or they vetoed it?
That may be, but that's not necessarily why this is happening right now. The reason, apparently, that this Representative Tricia Cotham is flipping parties is because of school choice. The Democrat governor was vetoing it.
That's a big deal.
It is a big, big deal. Brad, this is happening. This is, as I've said before, one of, in my opinion, if not the most important policy issues happening in the United States right now.
It has bipartisan support.
Well, then it must be good. No, it doesn't. That's why she's switching parties.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say it doesn't amongst the officials, but I think amongst the citizens and voters, it has bipartisan support.
It really does. I mean, we're talking in the 70s as far as opinion polls supporting school choice go. The voters like it. And so this is a big, big deal. This is happening so fast. So after the 2020 election, I remember a few months later talking to a couple of friends of mine about school choice and the fact that this was going to be an issue for our generation. The next generation, which is what we're a part of, this is going to be a big one for what I said probably the next 20 years. Since then, the pedal has been pushed down on that so hard that even I, who have been an advocate for it, have been shocked at how fast it's happening.
I am shocked at how quick it's happening.
But it's so necessary, and everybody understands why. It is so good for the future of the country to have this in place as much as possible. And Corey DeAngelis was in here a week or so ago. He is one of the absolute top champions for this in the country. Wanted to come into studio and have that conversation with Annie, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
And I joked that I actually interviewed him after he was off air because I just had so many questions. Oh, what about this? What about that? And he's standing here and we're trying to do a show. But that was really, really cool. And one of the questions I asked him off air, and I don't know if we ever shared this, was why do you think this has been slow to adopt? Because in states that have passed it, the population has been using it, but not quickly. And that completely undercuts the argument that it's going to take away money from public schools, which there are other arguments for that anyway.
Like this instantaneous defunding of public schools that the opponents say.
It's not happening.
No.
I mean, we can see with our own eyes that it's not happening. And B, it's a terrible argument to say you shouldn't have school choice because that would take away money from public schools.
What you're arguing is that you're going to choose not the public school, which means that the public school isn't the best choice.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that school
it's
choice...
always it's a hobby of mine. Whenever somebody comes out, it's like this is gonna defund public schools, and I'm like, well, why would parents choose a different school?
Oh, you're saying that the other schools would be better. Well, then why wouldn't you want people to go to them?
Why would they choose a different school? I thought the public school was like the standard for education.
You're like a regular school choice Jon Stewart.
Or like Columbo. One more thing.
Ooh, I like that. All right, the YouTube live chat poll of the day is about Donald Trump. We talked about this extensively yesterday. We've talked about it quite a bit today. Now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? Hannah, take it away.
All right, why don't we go around the room and share what we think? This, for me, is no change. I really like Trump. He was a great president. This doesn't make me look at him any differently. It makes me look at other people differently, but not Donald Trump himself. If he is, the guy to pick, I will pick him. I will always vote Republican. I like DeSantis more than Trump. I would like that for 2024, but if Trump is the guy, I will vote for him.
So I had teased earlier that I have an opinion on how this poll is going to go out, and I think that no change is going to run away and hide with this. I don't think it's going to move the needle on making people more likely or less likely to vote for him. I think the people have decided what they've decided. It's not going to change my opinion on whether or not I would vote for him in a primary. As a matter of fact, I think it's really important not to go into this primary going with your heart, because what is happening to Donald Trump, in my opinion, is injustice. It is not justice. It is unjust. It is horrible. It shouldn't happen in the United States.
You should never vote with your heart anyway.
Right. And my thing about this is, I think Donald Trump deserves justice. I think he deserves recompense. But for that to happen, you have to win. And I think you have to ask yourself really long and hard, can Donald Trump win a national election? He might run away with the primary because of this. People go, this is ridiculous. I want to give Donald Trump, everything he can just to make the other side mad. But it may not make the other side mad, because he might be the only candidate that Joe Biden can beat from his basement again.
Right.
We'll see. I would love to have that conversation separately, because I would like to talk about the possibility of a turnout election, which I think actually favors Trump versus DeSantis versus grabbing the middle, which is where DeSantis would be better.
Right.
But that's a separate discussion. How I would answer this question, with no reasoning. I'm not even going to tell you that I have some sort of strong mental reason for this. I'd say more likely. It just makes him more sympathetic to me as a character, as a candidate, and here's the question, whether that lasts beyond 3 weeks, I don't know. Are we talking about this next month? Because it could go on for a long time. We could be talking about this for a long time, just like we're still somewhat talking about Mar-a-Lago, but really we're talking about Mar-a-Lago because of this case. So whether this lasts beyond a month, he's going to see a bump here. He already is.
Absolutely see a bump.
So will this affect the primary? I don't know. Things happen too darn fast to assume that this is going to make a dramatic impact on the primary. But he, poll-wise, has been trending in the right direction for him for several months. So this will do nothing to slow that down, in my opinion. But just from a heart perspective, I think it does make him more sympathetic to me and more likely.
We have a ton of comments that came in about this. Weapons Free from YouTube said, no change. If he is the Republican nominee, he has my vote. Whoever is the Republican nominee will have my vote. Jackie S. says that Trump has my vote if he's the nominee, and that is not changed. Mark Reed said, I wasn't going to vote for Trump before the indictment, and I would not after. So
these comments seem to support Brad's theory.
Carlos says, I voted no change, mainly because indictments are not convictions. Quick Rick said, no change here. All the drama was predictable. Give me Trump policies without the Trump ego, and I'll be content. Dirk says, no change on the poll. I recognize that what's happening has nothing to do with his policy. G-Wib says, if Trump is the nominee, I will vote for him, but he's not my first choice. I think Pence is the most presidential of all the possibilities.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a unique stance.
That is the first Pence support we've had on our YouTube chat.
Yeah, I think that's why he's polling at 1% is because of G-Wibs.
TJ from YouTube said, I won't vote for Trump in the primary. If he's the nominee, I will vote third party or stay home for the first time in my adult life.
That's interesting is that, we're approaching this as, will it affect your vote in the primary? I wonder if it would affect people's vote in the general. Again, it's so far away that I doubt it because things happen so fast. And by then we're going to be talking about something else. But
again, I think that with Donald Trump, people have kind of made up their mind where they are on him.
I could see it bringing people like that are on the fence about whether they would even vote at all.
Yeah.
Might bring them into the fold a little bit.
All right, a few more comments. KK says, I was on the fence for no change or more likely. I chose more likely after yesterday. What has been done to this man is despicable. The lack of GOP support in the Congress makes it even more sick. I'll get to the results here and use our fancy new sounder.
The results are... Anna, do you have anything to say for yourself?
That is Abby Lee Miller. All right. The YouTube poll is asking, now that Trump has been indicted, how likely are you to vote for him? More likely, less likely, or no change? Super close poll. 48% of the people said no change. 47% of the people said more likely.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yep. Super, super close. So 48 to 46 with either no change or more likely to vote for Donald Trump.
I'm assuming that means less likely got almost nothing.
5%. Yeah, and
Really?
we had 224 votes on that poll.
That's a good amount of votes.
A good amount of votes. 48% of the people say no change to their Donald Trump vote. 47% of the people saying they are more likely to vote for him.
Gosh, a virtual tie. That does surprise me a little bit because I thought you made a great case.
Yeah.
That if you've already decided, you're probably not going to move much. But I mean, I'm kind of there where I'm a little bit on the fence. I could go either way right now. And this kind of stuff does kind of push me into the Trump camp a little bit just because I think it's so darn unjust that I almost want to like push back with him. Well, I'm Ryan Wiggins. I hope that you have had a good day listening to the Annie Frey Show. Hannah Gibbs running the board. Brad Range sitting in my seat. It's been fun. It's been quite a day. There's just a lot to cover. And there's even more ahead with the Mark Reardon Show. Again, if you want to get on the YouTube live chat and vote, you still can. We're just about to shut that down. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow.
Believe so. Kick out the jams, kick up the soul. Pour another glass of that rock and roll. Turn up the band, find the hole. Gonna lose control tonight. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart. So beat the drum with me. I'm not America's sweetheart. Well, they set out to life for this town, so I lit up and she burned it down. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Hey friends, it's Annie, and I have yet another opportunity to get together with you to help an amazing cause. The Vitae Foundation is celebrating St. Louis by having a St. Louis Vitae Foundation annual pro-life dinner once again, and I am so excited to be a part of this. I want you to be there as well. Go to prowomanaapproach.com and sign up to see Kevin Sorbo come speak in St. Louis Tuesday, April 11th at the Hilton St. Louis Frontenac. It's a wonderful dinner event. I will be emceeing there, so I'm going to spend some time in this evening with you and with Kevin Sorbo, and you're going to get to see the guy who